Show here on Spores 1440. Also live on Oilers Nation YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. And if you're on Instagram, Spores 1440, thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button across the social media platforms. My name is Connor Halley, sitting in for Jason Gregor. He'll be back on Monday. Until then, though, we're going to carry you through the remainder of the week. We've got Wanye Gretz joining us here in studio to go-host for the show. Declan Kruger running things on the board, and also Donovan Paulson keeping us live on the old internet. 1-833-401-1440. That is the text line if you'd like to get in on the conversation. Of course, that is the EWEL inbox. And the Jason Gregor Show is brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. You can use code word SUMMER, get $50 free in the casino when you deposit a minimum of $5. Also, today is Tuesday, so we got some Lotto Max action going on. I have to grab my ticket on the way home or just log into PlayAlberta.ca. Use your game sense. Wanye, how you doing today, my friend?
What is Gregor going to talk about when he gets back, Connor? Everything happened while he was gone. Every day brings new headlines.
It's wild. We now know that the two Oilers' young former first-round picks, two of Ken Holland's first-round picks, who are all gone, including Xavier Bourgault and your guy, Reed Schaefer, Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg, are going to be members of the St. Louis Blues, signing on 2-year deals. With that, the Edmonton Oilers do receive a little compensation, a second, a third, and maybe Paul Fisher just to sweeten up the deal as he comes over, former 5th-round pick. But Wanye, the opinions on these two offer sheets and how it has left the Edmonton Oilers right now, I don't know if I've seen anything more divisive. Like, everybody has an opinion. Some people think the Oilers are better. You save that cap space, you're going to make a move. Other people, the sky is falling. You lost 2 prospects, and there's nobody out there to pick up. Is there a side of the line that you fall on?
I think you got to factor in all the collateral damage on this attack from the Blues, possibly led by Peter Chiarelli. We don't know, Connor. You also have to remember there's no Cody Ceci. If you think the Oilers are better today than they were Game 7 with no Cody Ceci, no Philip Broberg, and no Dylan Holloway, I don't know, man. I don't know. I love the Oilers, and I think we're going to win the cup, but I don't think we're better than we were now in Game 7. What do you think, Connor?
Well, I mean, you factor that in. Vinny Desharnais, another loss, it goes to the Vancouver Canucks. 3 of your top 7 defensemen, let's call it, are no longer with the organization. That's going to be big shoes to fill. You got Troy Stetcher. Maybe you're a Ty Emberson believer because people are out there. The guy was the shutdown defenseman of the year in the AHL.
Eastern Conference.
In the Eastern Conference. You got to tie all those things in there. But respectable numbers with the San Jose Sharks. A bad San Jose Sharks team last season. So maybe there's something there that Coach Knobloch and the rest of the coaching staff can get something out of him. It's all wait and see, though, because we don't know. We don't know what this team is going to look like when they hit the ice later in October. Regular season action. But I'm intrigued by it because what's going to happen? Are the Oilers going to be a team that looks to make an addition here? Are we going to see a PTO? Tyson Barrie. We've heard Justin Schultz is the names that have been thrown out there. Could there be a move at the deadline? It's a pretty thin market when it comes to, defensemen heading into free agency after this season. Guys you might be able to pick up at the deadline. And some of the guys that are available or might be available are on contending teams. So it's going to be very interesting. Stan Bowman and company have some things to figure out here, but maybe that will just keep it simple. After the Oilers moves the last few days here, and I tweeted it out. I'm just going to go to my timeline here and make sure I get the names correct. These are the players that the Edmonton Oilers have acquired in the last month or so. Jeff Skinner, Victor Arvidsson, Ty Emberson, Vasily Podkolzin, Matthew Savoy, Paul Fisher, Robbie Jarvanti from the Sens. They lose Cody Ceci, Ryan McLeod, Warren Fogle, Vincent Desharnais, Philip Broberg, Dylan Holloway, and Xavier Bourgault. Those are just humans with heartbeats. We're not talking draft picks. Are the Edmonton Oilers better today? Let us know. 1-833-401-1440. Are the Edmonton Oilers a better team than they were, let's say, in May?
Connor, would you believe me if I told you I didn't know a soul that you said is coming to town prior to them arriving? I don't know any of these people.
Well, you knew Jeff Skinner.
No, Arvidsson and Skinner and them I knew. But I mean, like in the last...
Ty Emberson?
Never heard of him.
I don't blame you.
But Eastern Conference shutdown, that's the hard AHL conference.
That's the tougher one.
That's the hard one to shut down. Guys like that fly under the radar until suddenly they arrive, and they're like Larson, I felt, wasn't getting his due. People don't value a shutdown D-man.
No, they don't get any love. And until it's on your team and they do a good job, then you actually do become a fan. I mean, Vasily Podkolzin is a name the hype was there from the draft a few years ago.
He's the first round draft pick, right?
Yes.
That doesn't grow on trees. Am I wrong in remembering that the Oilers have none of their last 5 first-round draft picks?
No, you're right.
What on earth? Is that a really bad sign for the organization, Connor?
Well, I mean, I think in the case of Reed Schaefer, no, because you got Matthias Ekholm.
Agree to disagree, but go on. Why would you want the best modern Oilers defenseman when you could have a cool ginger guy from around town?
Great nickname.
Great nickname.
Tell me, we traded a guy named Ginger Beef. It happens.
That was my Nobel Prize.
It was a good line.
For nothing.
Xavier Bourgault shipped off to Ottawa.
Come on.
Not ideal. You have now Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg. Now, here's what I want to go back. Let's just look at the drafts after 2018 because Bouchard looks like he's going to play off. Ryan McLeod's going to, probably play 1,000 games in the NHL. Just keep on playing. You had Michael Kesselring, not with Edmonton, but did play. 2019, you had Philip Broberg who played 81 games. Raphael Lavoie, 7 games. And that's pretty much it in an Oilers uniform.
We need to be very careful because we are now the oldest team in the league. By we, I mean the Oilers, of which you and I are both playing an integral part. The Oilers are now the oldest team in the league, Connor. And we haven't any of our last 5 first-round draft picks.
It goes beyond that. Dylan Holloway played 89 games. He's gone. And granted, they didn't have a second or third pick that year, but Carter Savoy, gone. Tyler Tullio, gone. Berezkin, don't think he's going to make it into the next year. Xavier Bourgault, gone. Their entire draft class from 2021, no games played. As we get closer to the modern day, obviously, you're not going to have as many because they're still young and developing. Reed Schaefer's out of the system. The Oilers only have 3 prospects from the 2022 draft. They only had 4 picks. And in 2023, it's worse. There's only 3 picks. And we're really banking on Bo Akey, Nathaniel Day, and Matt Capone.
The optimist in me says, this is going to work. The realist in me is like, this better work because the window is open and the cupboard is bare. There are no prospects.
The right side of the blue line for the Oilers. We touched on it yesterday and we butchered it saying there's Bouchard, Stetcher, and maybe Emberson.
And who laughed at us? Speck laughed. And he said, of course, Broberg's an Oiler. I guarantee. Mark Spector guarantee, he said, as I recall.
I don't know if he used those words, but
we're paraphrasing.
He pretty much did. And, I thought so too, though. I really thought that just with their situation in the current lineup, that Philip Broberg would remain an Edmonton Oiler. Now you're hearing it was 2 years, $1.1 million was the offer. And then he gets 4.5. Can't blame the guy. Obviously, he's going to take that money and run. But I did not foresee this situation. I kind of had it in my mind. Dylan Holloway's gone. That's okay. They'll find a way to replace him. You'll take that 3rd round pick compensation. But we'll wait and see what happens here on the back end because it's going to be interesting to see what not Holland, Stan Bowman decides to do.
I respect the fact that they went back to St. Louis and squoze a 3rd rounder out of them. Like, we're going to sign one of these guys if you don't play ball. I respect that.
I assume that's what it was. Like, let's make a little power move here. Yeah. We will qualify them. We want a little more.
A 3rd rounder in what, the year 2046?
2028.
Oh.
And Paul Fisher from the University of Notre Dame.
With all due respect to Paul Fisher, and I'm sure he's a fine, fine man and defenseman. I don't know.
Yeah, 16 points, 34 games.
Step in for Cody Ceci immediately?
No, of course. Of course not. We'll wait and see. Today on the Jason Gregor Show with myself, Connor Halley, and Wanye Gretz. Lots to get to. We'll be joined by Tyler Yaremchuk in studio today for 2 segments. So we'll take all your texts into 1-833-401-1440. Also, the YouTube chat. Shout out Penner's Pancakes, Epiphany, KW, Trader Ryan, Gravity, Chris, ID, Camrose Chris. There's a couple different Chris's in there. Also, Dave McCarthy of Sirius XM will be by at 3:20. We'll get our thoughts. Well, he'll share some thoughts on this from afar, see what this really does for the St. Louis Blues as well. At 4 o'clock, we're going to talk some soccer. Matthew Wozniak and Liam Peace will be in the studio. Take a little bit of a look at the English Premier League. Liverpool, big 2-0 win on the weekend. Declan, Chelsea, 2-0 loss, but to Man City, that's okay.
Tough one, isn't it? Yeah, not a great start. Maresca looked like he had no clue how to send a lineup out there, but it's one game. It's against City, who's obviously City. We'll figure it out. I don't expect us to win the league or anything, but better than top 6, top 4, hopefully.
Did you say tough one, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm big on British slang.
Say it again, all British.
In it.
Yeah. That's cool.
Sticky. I said that a lot as well.
Sticky.
I'm really just a huge culture vulture is what it comes down to.
You're a
But
sponge.
no shame about it.
No.
Do you say bruv?
I said bruv a lot.
The male person said, thanks, bruv. To
I
me
said
once, I thought it was so cool.
mental.
What's that mean?
Mental.
What a
Bruv.
culture design. What a culture.
I say still a lot as well. Just like anything that sounds cool when like a British drill rapper says it, I kind of, make it part of my vernacular.
We'll mix that in at 4 o'clock as we talk little soccer. Struddy will be by 4:20, former NHLer, Got Your Back podcast. Get his thoughts on how this is going to impact the Oil. He played defense. He runs a defense camp. So I think he's pretty well suited to break down what the Oilers blue line will look like. Mark Spector will be by at 5 o'clock. Get his thoughts on this whole thing. What's next for the management staff? And then we'll be joined by Dan Miller, Detroit Lions play-by-play. I know a certain Liam with Oilers Nation, big Lions fan, I believe. So maybe he'll be tuning in once again to hear what's going on with #OnePride, an organization that certainly turned it around quite well. It's fun to see.
They've been perennially terrible until a giant coach showed up.
Dan Campbell,
That's the one.
biting knees. That's
What's
what
that?
it is. He, in his press conference, talked about how they're going to be biting kneecaps. And you kick us down, we'll bite your kneecap. We went on a great run.
Let's go Lions.
Let's jump into the inbox here. 1-833-401-1440. Spaghetti says, everyone was hating on CC. Now he's gone, and it's the end of the world. We lost a few young players in Holloway, Broberg, McLeod, but got them back in Palat, Colson, Emerson, Savoy, Fisher, etc. Typical overreacting. Wait and see how it plays out. More moves can still be made. I do like what you're saying there. Let's wait and see how it plays out. But in the meantime, we'll just all try to be experts and share our 2 cents and try to justify everything they do or hate them for doing so. Nothing right on the fence one. You really got to look into it. Perplexed Oilers fan says the Oilers really built a nice Blues team in 2024, 2025. Now taking away some of their pieces and draft picks, maybe going forward. And then we can get to the deadline here, and the Oilers can accrue like $4 million in cap space, I believe. You have an extra second and third round pick, and then another third round pick in 2028, which I'm sure will be a hot commodity. You can move that one as well. So, Wanye, here we go. We're looking at some positives now for this group.
I see you mining for a silver lining over there. You got your pickaxe, you got your helmet, you got your mining equipment, and you're mining for the silver.
Trying to be an optimist.
Yeah.
Today on Fantasy Frenzy, Brandon Douglas and I were called overly negative and too optimistic at the same time.
How can it be both?
Perspective.
You know who I feel for in all of this? Cody Ceci, because he was one period away from winning the Stanley Cup. Great role on a championship team, potentially. Good friends with Leon, and now he's going to go be a Blue. And this is probably his last contract.
You know what I think, though? Well, he's going to be a Shark.
Oh, sorry, Shark, not a Blue.
I think
even worse, though.
He'll be a deadline
Shark.
move, I think. I think a playoff team will bring him in. Maybe back, but
Yep.
I think San Jose moves him at the deadline or before.
As Oilers fans, we have the cycles of grief whenever there's a trade. There's the speculation leading up to it, scenario analysis, then a trade occurs, the immediate buyer's remorse we suffer as Oilers fans. And the final thing we say for every player, Connor, is he could come back.
Come back.
And we never talk about him again.
Ranting Rob texting, Amberson was named top defensive player for the AHL East. Shutdown defenseman, I believe, was the term they used. Is he good enough for a second pairing soon? Maybe. A big jump from the AHL to the NHL. I mean, we've seen that with a lot of different players. We hope so. That would be the ideal situation for the Oilers, getting him for Cody Ceci and a draft pick. That'd be fantastic. But we got to wait till he gets out there and we see him on the ice. Put up good numbers, though, on a tough team with the San Jose Sharks. We know how bad they were, except for that faithful night in November when they beat the Oilers. But, I mean, maybe we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see, because I don't want to pretend like I'm an expert on some guy that played 30 games with the Sharks. Can't do it.
Poor Cody Ceci. I wonder if Struds will give us a straight deal or if he'll be all positive and be like, everything's fantastic. Like, what do you honestly think of the right side, Struds?
We'll ask him. The Burglar says, Paul Fisher, absolute stud, I hear.
Is he?
We'll take his word
Could
for
be.
it. 5th round pick. Good enough to be drafted in the 5th round, playing in the Big Ten, I think. Hey, not too shabby. We have a new person texting in here. Oh, Oil Mama. I'm very disappointed that the Oilers didn't match anyone, especially Broberg. Acquiring a good NHL defenseman is so hard, so I'm blown away that they let Broberg walk. The Oilers are now the oldest team in the league. We are slower, have no good prospects in our pipeline, and 3 defensemen last year are gone. Plus, we don't have many picks. I got 2 new picks coming in today.
You're forgetting about that
Don't
third
have your
rounder
first-
in 2046.
2028.
Woof.
I guess you did move on from your first round pick next year to make the selection this year.
If we can't keep any of our first round picks, maybe we don't want to be picking in the first round. Maybe we don't know what we're doing.
Well, you know what the LA Rams said?
Nope.
Beat them picks.
Is that what they said?
And they won a Super Bowl. They went for a long time without actually making a first round selection. And that's different in football because you get an immediate contributor. But they would opt to trade it away for players that could play and that are proven.
It's amazing given that the Oilers have been a team that's going to have to build through the draft for since when? 2010? Would you say that was sort of when the draft era began of the team, when we stopped chasing Danny Heatley with DVDs and stuff like that?
Yeah.
It's amazing how few of our first round draft picks have turned out.
We did have a text here that came in from David. Did the Oilers management release a statement, or are they too scared to face the press and face scrutiny? Well, they did do a conference call earlier today. You can actually go watch that on their X stream. Maybe do it after our show. But Stan Bowman did speak to the media. So no, they're not afraid to answer questions or anything like that. There was one. We were hoping it was going to be streamed on YouTube, and we would have ran that earlier today, but it was more of a Zoom meeting with members of the media. But you can go find that one after you listen to us, because we'll be covering this throughout the day. Lots of opinions coming in from a various group of people. We got Tyler Yaremchuk coming up, also Struddy, Speck, and a whole lot more. We're going to talk a little soccer as well. So make sure you keep it locked here on Sports 1440. Dave McCarthy will join us from Sirius XM. We'll also do 5 questions with Declan Kruger. Donkey says the Oilers are a better team today, but not tomorrow. Lost a lot of potential.
What happens at midnight?
I think they're not a better team right now. They'll score more goals in all likelihood. But I think until we actually see them on the ice, they might give up a few more. Unless, hey, maybe the Oilers just shut down defensively, play the trap or the swarm.
We can't. We could swarm.
We could swarm
We
potentially.
could swarm them.
Team Dean says, yes, Emberson seems like a lateral move with Broberg. Podkolzin, lateral move with Holloway. I honestly think Stetcher is better than CC. Arvidsson and Skinner better than McLeod Fogle. The only negative is Vinny. Team Dean. Yeah, and I guess for me, familiarity would play a role in that. Emberson would love to see what he can do. Lateral move with Broberg. I don't know.
I don't know
I
about
did see
that.
Philip Broberg step into this team's roster, play very well when all the lights are on, everyone's watching the toughest competition, and he looked very good. Holloway looked good at times. More consistency would have been fantastic, but he's still a young player growing. Podkolzin scored double digits twice in his career, once as a rookie a few years ago, once this past season with Abbotsford. Before that, even growing up, never had double-digit goals. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe a fresh start is exactly what he needs. Stetcher and Cece. I think Cece might have been a little underrated, but maybe playing over his head. And then Arvidsson, Skinner, McLeod, Fogle. I'm with you. Need Arvidsson to stay healthy, though. I think Skinner's going to be terrific. I think he'll pot north of 25, 30 goals this season. We'll see. I feel like I've said that thousands of times today, and I'll probably say 1,000 more. We'll see. All we can do is wait for puck drop in the preseason and then go from there.
I feel like Arvidsson and Skinner are big upgrades. I feel like the week Jeff Jackson was GM but wasn't GM, we were on fire. I feel like the D has taken a pretty big step backwards.
Yeah.
But we don't know who. There's no room for anybody, though. What are the salary cap implications of all this, Connor?
Well, I believe right now they have $950,000.
Even with Kane on the LTIR?
I don't know if there's a rush to make that happen. We'll have to wait and see.
So we have 900 grand, but really 6?
We'll take a look at the numbers. Dabble in them a little bit. I did hear word of mouth that Evander Kane's at the mall today.
Really?
With his family, yeah. Taking it all in. The mall that has it all. Maybe doing some back to school shopping.
We should just hang up the door. What do you think, Evander? Try to get an old scoop. What do you know? What do you know?
If he walks by here, maybe he's taking the family for lunch at Bubba Gump's. Maybe we'll get the insider perspective.
We should fake a Bubba Gump's table in here and have an arrow, for you, Evander, Bubba Gump's, and then we bring him in.
Right to there.
Then we put a mic in front of him.
That would that'd be very I don't know, Bugs Bunny type.
But with seafood.
Yeah. Wouldn't get me. I don't like seafood. Anywho, let's get to a break. When we come back, we will be joined by Tyler Yaremchuk of Oilers Nation and Daily Faceoff. They had a show at 8 a.m. this morning did some numbers. People were tuning in. Everybody can't get enough of this Oilers talk when it comes to the offer sheets. Coming up next, Tyler Yaremchuk of Oilers Nation. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440 and Oilers Nation Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson with you. The show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Rule number 41, never challenge a goose in the Bow Valley. They run this town and they know it. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
The summer road lays ahead. Your potential destinations are endless. Volvo Cars Edmonton gives you choice to match. Right now, lease a 2024 Volvo XC90 from 0% for qualifying loyal customers. Or save $7,000 on all new 2024 XC60 recharge plug-in hybrid models. All demo vehicles come with a free 10-year, 1 million kilometer warranty. No matter what you decide this summer will become, your first choice is Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
Mr. Rooter goes on a water slide.
Welcome to the Sky Screamer. Please keep your arms crossed over your...
Oh, don't worry about old Mr. Rooter. I'm the last person you have to worry about clogging this pipe.
Actually, it's for your safety.
This plumbing-themed amusement park is amazing. To see the world from inside a giant pipe, it feels like Honey, I Shrunk the Mr. Rooter. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm ready to be flushed.
For a plumbing good time, slide into the DMs of Mr. Rooter.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Elevate your home's curb appeal effortlessly with House Numbers Canada. Locally owned and operated right here in Edmonton. Their state-of-the-art modern house numbers and address signs are the perfect solution for a quick and stylish upgrade. Multiple size and color options, stock items, custom designs, and the always popular LED illuminated numbers. Quality guaranteed or your money back. So what are you waiting for? Give your home the modern upgrade it deserves. Explore House Numbers Canada's exclusive collection at houseNumbersCanada.ca.
The only thing as hot as the weather this summer is a night out at On the Rocks. Every weekend, enjoy live music and top DJs spinning your favorite tracks. The dance floor is the place to be. Celebrating a birthday or stagette? Let OTR take the work out of the planning for you. Book your party online at ontherocksedmonton.com. Join OTR every evening from 4 p.m. for a great atmosphere and good company. There's something for everyone to enjoy. Grab your Good Vibe Drive and head to On the Rocks, corner of Jasper Ave and 118th Street.
Employee pricing is on now at Chevrolet. Right now, get up to $10,500 off select Silverado 1500 High Country Crew Cab models. With an available 6.2-liter V8 engine and standard Chevrolet safety assist, including forward collision alert, getting out of the city and having a nice, quiet day on the beach is easier than ever this season. So relaxing. Ask your Chevrolet advisor for details.
Kruger and Donovan Paulson with you here live from the EWEL Studios in West Edmonton Mall, where the real power place to shop. EWEL.ca for all your electrical needs 24/7 online. EWEL.ca is your partner in Power the Gregor Show, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Got a lot of you watching on the old YouTube channel. Hello, Epiphany. Trader Ryan says, Connor Halley waved at me and my kids while visiting the mall through the glass on Stampede Week. I was wearing my J shirt. My kids thought it was super cool, as did I. Yeah, I love waving at people. So if you walk past our studio, just kind of stare in. We'll give you the look. It happens on a daily basis. So yeah, we're getting pretty good at that. I think the first couple of times Gregor thought I was like waving at him and kind of paused, but we've gotten past that. He sees me waving. He just lets me go. Text line 1-833-401-1448. Talking, of course, Oilers offer sheets as they have moved on. Declined to match Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg's offer coming in from the St. Louis Blues. 2-year deal for them. The Oilers getting a little compensation back, a couple third-round picks, a second, as well as Paul Fisher, Notre Dame. Played in 34 games last season, 16 points, 2 goals, 30 PIMs. We're going to talk about this a little bit more, so keep those texts rolling in. We'll get to the Oil Report, brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton. The Midsummer event is on now. Lease a new Volvo 2024 XC90 for 0% at Canada's #1 Volvo dealership of VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. Tyler Yaremchuk of Oilers Nation, a daily face-off in studio. Tyler, good afternoon. How are you doing?
Good afternoon. It is always fun to come to West Edmonton Mall.
Did you do anything else while you were here?
No, I just pulled up. And then I'll probably go straight home.
You came in here a little while ago, and then you went and did something pretty important.
I went and bought an engagement ring that day. And then I was sitting here doing my hit with Gregor, and Gregor, not knowing, turns to me and goes, and people maybe remember this from the head. He goes, Tyler's in here doing a little shopping. Maybe he's going to get that ring finally for his lady. And I was like, shut up, Gregor, shut up. That was fun.
Yeah, nothing like that this time.
No, just in and out.
You're not buying another engagement ring today?
No, I think I'm going to stop at one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Got to draw the line somewhere.
Fair enough.
Good move. Okay, Tyler, so you guys were on this morning, 8 a.m., discussing it. What were your thoughts to hear that the Edmonton Oilers not matching the offer sheets from the Blues?
Before you start, can I just say that I was waiting in the queue, Tyler, waiting for you and Liam to weigh in on what was going on. So you might have been up early, but we respect it.
Yeah, it was, again, people were kind of clamoring, right? It's obviously, I think if you were to ask Oilers fans 48 hours ago, this would have been considered surprising, right? Not matching on either of them, especially after you dumped the money for Cody Ceci. But what I think this comes down to, and I did listen to Stan Bowman speak today at 11 a.m., but it's flexibility for the Oilers. Like, you can sit there, and if Evander Kane's going to be hurt for the whole year, you could have matched both Holloway and Broberg and found a way to be cap compliant because you got rid of the Ceci money, right? That, again, could have worked for you. But what happens if Evander Kane is back by March? Well, you can't trade Broberg. You can't trade Holloway. Who else are you looking at? You can try to trade Evander Kane with a modified no trade clause or whatever it is, or you're going to be forced into trading someone that you really don't want to. So by going this route, you get some assets back. I like that they picked up Pud Coles, and I like that they picked up Ty Emberson, but you've given yourself flexibility to upgrade what you need to upgrade at the deadline. And I do think that for where this Oilers team is, that's pretty important because, again, you could have matched, could have brought back Broberg and Holloway, but then you're operating in LTIR. It's borderline impossible to make a move in season. And you're basically just saying flat out, we're committing to this being our roster and we won't have any wiggle room. And I'm not sure if that was the smartest play. So there was no way for Stan Bowman to come out of this as, a massive winner. But I do think he did some good things over the last few days to negate how heavy the loss is.
Now, we've been talking about the right side on the Oilers blue line. You got Evan Bouchard, Emberson, Stetcher. We're not exactly sure how it's going to play out. Your thoughts on those three names on the back end, and is there a way you can improve them before the season gets going?
No, I don't think you can improve on that before the season gets going. I will say, I think people are going to like Ty Emberson a lot more than they realize. This is a guy who put up not just like average numbers or replacement level numbers. He put up good results with a San Jose team that was like borderline historically terrible, right? Like, for him to go do that in San Jose with basically no talent around him, I'm excited to see what he can do on this Oilers blue line. I know Dom Lucian is a guy who's always putting out those player cards and things, and his data and his research is really good. His data projects Emberson to be the equivalent of a $5.8 million defenseman. Like, that's how much value he can give you on the defensive side of the puck. So I think Oilers fans are going to really like Ty Emberson. And for Troy Stetcher, I think a Stetcher and Nurse pairing could actually give the Oilers something pretty decent as well. I think when you look at that duo last year, they, before Stetcher got hurt, they played together a bit. It was 40 some odd minutes. But when they were on the ice, the Oilers outshot the opposition and outscored the other team 3-0. And 48 5-on-5 minutes together, Stetcher and Nurse didn't get scored on. That's not to say they're not going to get scored on all year. But the point is, I can sit here and look at this blue line and go, Emberson with Kulak as a shutdown duo. Nurse and Stetcher get softer matchups. And then you have Ekholm and Bouchard, who are without a doubt a top 10 pairing in the NHL. The arguments may be there for them to be a top 5 pairing in the NHL. I don't think this blue line is bad as some people want to believe it is just because you lost Philip Broberg, who, let's remember, Connor, did the job for 10 games.
Yeah.
Stanley Cup final games. Important. Yes. Pressure's on. He's a rookie. All that. Did it for 10 games. Difference between doing it for 10 games and doing it for 80 games.
Oh, yeah. And I said, even if the Oilers do retain him, he's 100 games into his NHL career.
It was a massive risk. Massive risk.
There could be nights he looks great, but there's going to be nights he looks awful.
Did you see what Bruce McCurdy pointed out on Twitter, the little cap loophole?
No.
So remember, they called up Broberg to play 2 more games at the end of the season. And at the time, we all said, well, that makes a lot of sense. Get him ready in case he has to play in the playoffs. If he did not play in those 2 games, he would have been under 80 games in his 2 seasons. And I believe he wouldn't have been eligible for an offer sheet.
Oh, no.
That's how they get you, though, hey?
The fine print on these contracts.
Geez, that's interesting. Okay, well, I'm sure that won't come up on social media at all in the future.
Maybe he did tweet a correction to it as well. Never mind. He said he was wrong. All right. Well, Bruce.
That's not real?
Yeah, Bruce duped me. I was wondering why the tweet was, I retweeted it and it was gone from my thing. Never mind. There was, CB is not clear. Oh, if you're healthy, scratched it. It's being on the roster, not just playing games. So, screwed anyways.
That would have been wild had that been the case. Glad it wasn't. Well, let's talk about the players that are here. Josh Brown, where does he fit in, or is he Condors?
Like, I think he maybe has Vincent Desharnais upside to him, but I'm like so slow in saying that because again, you look at a guy like Emberson who was on a god awful team playing a defensive role and put together really good results. You look at Josh Brown, he was on a better team putting together far worse results. So I still don't understand why they felt the need to go 3 years, $1 million with a guy like Josh Brown. I think he's fine as a 7th defenseman, albeit a little bit overpaid. And again, maybe the Oilers see something in him that the numbers don't show and that the public doesn't quite see in him. But I think he's a 7. I think it's fine depth. But going back to your point, like, are they going to bring anyone else in? I don't want them to bring in a Barry or a Schultz because to me, I sit and I look, and on that right side now, again, Bouchard, your obvious number 1, and then you're going to have Emberson and Brown and Stetcher and Connor Carrick and Max Warner is coming up, and I think he might be a guy who earned some games this year. Phil Kemp earned a game last year. Granted, it wasn't a defense, which was weird, but you kind of have 5 on the right side. I think if anything gets brought in, if I'm being honest, I think it's maybe a lefty. Because after Ekholm, Nurse, and Kulak, your next lefty is it's like Ben Gleason. So one name I'd look at is maybe a guy like Travis Dermott, who does have the connection to the Erie Otters, which apparently is a bit of a prerequisite for coming to the Oilers.
It mattered. I didn't mind Gleason in preseason last year, actually.
It's fine, yeah.
Like, obviously preseason, take it for what it is. But yeah, I get exactly what you're saying here. It's the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440 and Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook. Connor Halley, Tyler Yaremchuk, Wanya Gretz with you here. Text coming in here. Well, not a text, but a comment. Josh Brown is a pylon that fights. That's from Epiphany on YouTube. And Garrett had a question. Hey, guys, why did the Oilers get another third and Fisher from St. Louis? I'm wondering if that was Stan Bowman, like, you got to sweeten this up or we're going to match.
I think that's totally what it was. And again, they put themselves in a position, and that's why I think, again, decent little bit of work here by Stan Bowman. You trade CC, you get I think, better and cheaper defenseman in Emberson, but you give up the third. That gives you the cap flexibility and the ability to bluff a little bit with Armstrong and say, oh, unless you up this a little bit, give us 2 more assets. Not even just 1 more. Give us 2 more assets, or we're going to match this. So again, that third you get, granted 2028, I know, but that kind of covers for the third you had to give up for CC. And also Fisher, there's maybe not a ton of upside there, but Bruce Kurlock is a guy whose stuff I really trust. Yeah. He says he'd put him in the top 20 of Oilers prospects right now, which maybe isn't that big of a compliment, but still. And I was talking to Stephen Ellis, our prospect analyst at Daily Faceoff, and he said all he can do is be good defensively, but he's very good at it.
If you're asked to do one thing, you do it very well.
It got Vincent Desharnais to the NHL.
Exactly. Okanagan Doug says, why didn't they trade the pair or sign and trade them? Can't trade them. for a year. So that's what's the reason behind that one. Basically, it was match and keep them or let them walk, Doug. So that's why they did that one. Now, we kind of touched on Evan Bouchard there playing with Matthias Ekholm and how strong he was. I thought he really improved his game defensively as the Stanley Cup playoffs went on. Do you think he can continue that in an 82-game season?
It's so tough because, again, I get that we like to generally overreact to playoff games because they're so important, but that's the kind of stuff that can get you in trouble, is reading too much into small sample sizes and doing it for 10 to 15 games when, there's a couple off nights here and there. It's a lot different than having to do it for 30 straight games. And I mean, granted, a bad stretch of 5 games in the regular season can maybe get pushed to the side versus a bad stretch during the playoffs. I get that there's more pressure, but I don't know if it's a lock that he can do it over the course of an 82-game season because, again, I'm a believer in wanting to see more sample size, especially at the money.
Did you see the quote from Lou Korak?
I did
Armstrong?
Not. Is it the one where he said he would offer sheet even if his own mother was on the other side? I don't know if I buy that. I think if Ken Holland, and again, there's no way to prove it, obviously. No one's going to admit to it, but would Doug Armstrong have done this to Ken Holland? Or would he have called up Ken Holland beforehand and just said, hey, let's work out a trade here. Let's save ourselves the offer sheet drama. And then who knows, if you're Doug Armstrong in that case, maybe you could have gotten the players signed for cheaper, given up different assets, whatever. I don't know if I fully believe Doug Armstrong there.
Yeah, because we had Andy Strickland on the show last week, and Wanya, you asked him, tinfoil hat here, would this have happened with Ken Holland? And he said no, would not have happened. Now, he's pretty dialed in.
Yeah.
But yeah, today on Twitter, Armstrong saying, it's a tool that I think everyone uses and should use. I think it was reported that I wouldn't have done this with his Ken Holland. That's the furthest thing from the truth. Quite honestly, I'd do it to my mother if she was managing the Oilers.
It's a tool everyone uses. Doug, there's been 2 of them in the last 10 years.
Nobody uses that.
Yeah, that's a lie. But so that right there, right? The fact that he goes that way, it's kind of I don't know if you would have done this to your old boy Ken.
Yeah.
They were on a golf trip when it got announced.
Or no, Holland was playing in his golf tournament. Yeah, you're right. Though. There's something like that. Yeah, they were together.
That'd have been awkward in the first tee the next morning. Hey?
Yeah. Gotcha.
Would have been funny, though.
Now watch this drive.
Yeah. We'll take a break here. When we come back, more with Tyler Yaremchuk here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, Wanya Gretz with you. Gregor Show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Gather around the radio, kiddies, for the best time of day. It's Oodle Noodle time. Listen in this week as your noodle hero battles the barbarous Bobby Burger. Now sing along. You know the word. Oodle Noodle time. Oodle Noodle time. You know what time it is now. Get up and give me your best Oodle Noodle dance. Your best time of day is Oodle Noodle time.
Hey, Leduc, can leading edge physiotherapy help you? Well, this is a question I face every day. Let me answer the best I can. Do you have a pain or injury to your toe, foot, ankle, knee, hip, lower back, middle back, neck, shoulder, elbow, wrist, hand, or finger? Are you dealing with a sprain, strain, fracture, tendonitis, bursitis, arthritis, dizziness, balance issues, surgery, whiplash, or headache? Okay, I can't list all the problems that we can help in leading edge physio in under 30 seconds, and I can't promise we fix everyone. But I can promise that we'll combine our experience, skills, technology, and hands-on care to give you an edge. Life shouldn't hurt. Find us at leadingedgephysio.com.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need: Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Wow, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Hey, it's Brad McCory here from St. Albert Dodge. Our August month-end blowout is now on. So until Saturday, August 31st, we won't say no to any deal. And here's what we have to offer. 20% off new 2024 Ram 1500s, no payments for 90 days on selected vehicles, and how's this? A brand new Jeep Compass 4x4 for only $37,000. If you're looking for a new vehicle, don't buy until you talk to us. Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Bacon or sausage and egg McMuffin? It's a delicious dilemma. But what if you didn't have to choose? The Mighty McMuffin is back with bacon and sausage. Mighty McMuffin, mighty impressive. For a limited time at participating McDonald's in Canada.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to
call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Summer starts with the service department at Vision RV. Hi, Larry Ricci here. Before you set out for another season of camping, traveling, and exploring, be sure to book your RV in for servicing. Maybe it's a peace of mind inspection, or does your RV need some TLC? At Vision, we have 10 state-of-the-art service bays, a drive-through appointment bay, and a fully stocked parts department, plus a cozy customer lounge while you wait. Summer service, Vision RV, just south of the Yellowhead on Highway 60.
.ca. You can put in code word summer, $50 free when you input $5 minimum. Use your GameSense, gamesense.ca. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz, Tyler Yaremchuk sticking around for another segment of Oilers Nation and Daily Faceoff. Tyler, we kind of went back and looked at the defensive side of things. Stuart Skinner, kind of status quo. I think we're expecting probably a little bit of growth in his game. I don't know how much at this point, but up front, McLeod on the way out. You got Holloway on the way out. Fogle, of course, but a few good names coming in. So what's a rundown here if you're looking at the in and out here for the Edmonton Oilers forward group this season?
I just see a lot of people freaking out, and I don't quite understand it. Like, okay, when you look at the forward group, you lose Warren Fogle. Replacing him, Victor Arvidsson. I think Victor Arvidsson has 30 goal potential. Warren Fogle has 20 goal potential. Victor Arvidsson's a better player. Okay, let's look at who would be the other name on there. Okay, Holloway out. Let's say just directly replaced by Jeff Skinner next year. Okay, I think you got a more proven player there. Again, 30 goal upside versus 20 goal upside. Ryan McLeod's gone, but you now get a full year of Adam Henrique. A saw-off, you could say. Maybe it doesn't lean too hard one way or the other, but it's close enough there. And okay, you're going to lose Evander Kane, LTIR for however long he ends up being out for. That does sting a little bit. So, you're still covered though. Like, that's not even considering a Podkolzin, or if you want to talk about did they lose a bunch of upside not having Holloway anymore? Well, you have Matt Savoy now in the minors, who again will have a couple years of an ELC that he'll be contributing on at some point. So I think they are coming back with a much better forward group than they had last year, just looking at the pieces they brought in and the pieces they brought out. And on the blue line, yeah, like the right side scares you, but I think Ty Emberson will easily cover Cody Cece's minutes. I think they're going to be better off a year from now with Ty Emberson in their organization versus a Cece. And I am nervous about, again, having Troy Stetcher play with Darnell Nurse and having, Stetcher and Emberson be the guys on the right side. But again, you weren't getting great results out of a Cece Nurse pairing. You were getting good results out of a Kulak Desharnais pairing, but again, can Emberson and Stetcher cover that for the time being? I think so. You've given yourself the flexibility to get better at the deadline. And the other thing too, again, Philip Broberg is a left-handed defenseman who you were hoping in what would be his first full NHL season would average 18 to 20 minutes a night on the right side of your blue line, playing his offside with Darnell Nurse. Like, there was no guarantee. Like, the blue line wasn't good to begin with. Wasn't safe, wasn't championship caliber. So I still look at a blue line and go, it's not championship caliber, but at least now they have the flexibility to fix it.
Sir, I will remind you, we were one period away from winning the Stanley Cup. To say the blue line wasn't good, that is a misnomer.
I don't know. I think the blue line was okay, maybe not good. It was serviceable. It got the job done. I think a lot of that though is carried by Ekholm and Bouchard being one of the best pairings in the league, and they're still one of the best pairings in the league. And the forward group is better, so it'll cover for it.
I have no doubt the forward group is better. We're long on hope. I'm worried about the D.
Classic line from the show. We'll see. Noji had texted in 1-833-401-1440 asking, any guys on the farm you think can make the team?
Make the team, I think, is maybe a bit of a stretch. Factor in at some point this season. I've been on Gregor's show or on this show now a couple of times and said that I think Lane Peterson and Noah Philp will play games at some point this year. I wouldn't be surprised if one of them finds a way to stick and takes over for Derek Ryan's job. So that 4C spot is something I'm watching. I keep seeing all the comments about how the Oilers have the oldest roster in the NHL. I don't know if you were to swap Derek Ryan for a Lane Peterson, okay, you get younger there. If Raphael Lavoie can make the team as your 13th forward once you put Kane on IR, I mean, that right there is a spot where you're going to get significantly younger. And I think Raph Lavoie is ready to be an NHLer. So if Matt Savoy comes up at some point, boom, you're getting significantly younger right there. So there are some interesting names on the blue line. The one I'm watching is Max Wanner. Again, people you talk to still sounds like he is a year away, but the value they're getting for where they drafted that guy, he was a 7th round pick in 2021. He's going to play NHL games at some point. Ken Holland did not have a lot of wins as the GM of the Oilers at the draft, but that's going to be a win that we look back on is Max Wanner coming up. Again, maybe later this year, maybe not till early next year, but he's coming.
What do you think about the Oil having none of their first round picks for 5 years now, Tyler?
Tyler Wright and Ken Holland weren't good. Wow. Like that, there's no other way to put that. And, you know, the Borgo thing, I've always cut him some slack. So I'm like, okay, it was a COVID draft and things were up in the air. Guys weren't, playing games that year. You were kind of just picking blind. But the Broberg pick was a reach at that point. And again, you defend it and you go, okay, they clearly think they see something in him. And if you hit on it, that's a really nice pick. But you look at the pieces that go right behind him in Caulfield and Boldy and the Zegrises of the world, and it's like 50 to 75% of the picks right after Broberg were hits, and you missed on that one. And you look at Holloway, and there were better players available after him in that first round. And Reed Schaefer, they turned into Ekholm, so who cares? But Reed Schaefer's, I know I'm going to piss you off. Reed Schaefer is probably not playing games in the NHL. Like that was a dud of a pick as well. And when you have and the other side of that really kind of irks me when we look back on it is how often did we do trade deadline shows and in our speculation and lead up to the trade deadline, and then afterwards when they didn't do anything and they kept their first round pick, how many times remember, you're going to need cheap players coming through to help complement McDavid and Draisaitl, and it's like you ended up getting neither. You didn't use them to upgrade yourself in the moment, which who knows how any of those runs play out if you maybe do go upgrade a piece or two, and then also the players you picked were largely duds, and then you can all mismanage the salary cap and couldn't sign Broberg and Holloway.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty good rundown. I didn't say it exactly in your words because I didn't want to tick off Wanye.
Yeah.
But hey, you turned Reed Schaefer into Ekholm with a few other pieces. That one doesn't bother me, but it's not just those guys. It's not just the first round picks. We're talking like the later round picks also. No sign of playing in the NHL. Like, can you hit on 1 in 4 years? I don't think that's too much to ask. That could be upwards of 28 picks. I know the Oilers traded a few away, but not great drafting for the Edmonton Oilers in the Ken Holland era.
So the last player the Oilers have had that's played an NHL game that they've picked after the first round, you got to go all the way back to 2019, and it's Raph Lavoie. If you want to find a player who's played more than Raph Lavoie's 7 games that they picked outside the first round, you got to go to 2018, Ryan McLeod. And in that same year, Michael Kesselring, and Ken Holland traded Michael Kesselring, who's looking like a legit top 4 guy in Phoenix and now Utah, and they traded him for 3 months of Nick Bukestad.
Yeah. I will say, if Kesselring goes on, I was wrong about that one. I was like, hey, you got in a guy that, and you're expecting to go on a bit of a run here. Bukestad could be a good pick. A couple of years later, maybe not.
But like going through those later rounds of those Holland drafts and the Tyler Wright years, like, okay, Broberg now gone. Raph Lavoie, he was the only other player from 2019 who played a game for the organization, and he's the only one from that draft who has a hope of being an NHLer. You go to 2020, the only one who seems like he has a hope of being an NHLer is Maxim Bereskin. I know there's some people down in Baco who really like him. Everyone else is pretty much gone. Go to the next year, 2021, Bourgault's gone, Chason's gone. You're looking at Max Warner in the 7th round, maybe Luka Munzenberger or Matvey Petrov turning something. But like, we're talking about one late 3rd round or later, one late round pick that looks like they have a good shot of being an NHLer out of 5 years of Ken Holland drafts. That's brutal.
Tyler Yaremchuk of Oilers Nation joining us here.
If you think for 1 second that trading a moderate prospect and Reed Schaefer and Tyson Barrie for the best modern defenseman is a good trade, I feel sorry for you. Okay.
John of St. Albert, couple questions here for Tyler. I think I know the answer, but we'll ask them. Who's going to be traded first, Darnell Nurse or Evander Kane? Also, could we get Jake Neighbors on the team?
I think Evander Kane's probably heading into his last year as an Oiler. I thought there was a chance last year would be his last year as an Oiler, but I think they'll find a way to get out of that deal ahead of the last season, especially since his trade protection changes. I don't think there's any chance they ever get off of the Darnell Nurse trade just because I think it's too expensive. And again, it's the devil you know there. Do you want to trade him for another equally bad contract out there and risk bringing in someone who doesn't fit in the room the way Darnell Nurse does? Like, at least you know what you have in Nurse. And the second part of that was, can we get Jake Neighbors on the team next year? The reason offer sheets don't happen is because it takes a very special set of circumstances.
Yeah.
You probably do need to do the dueling thing to really make a team think, but also you need a cup contending team who is jammed right up to the cap and can't match it.
So James Neal 1.9 next year and Jack Campbell 3.5. What are your expectations for those two guys eating up salary cap?
Again, the dead money does suck. To answer the Neighbors question, next season the Blues are going to have in cap space. Oh, I just lost the number here. I think it's close to $30 million in projected cap space. So
they could sign Kevin Garnett.
Sorry, with their recent run of signings, it's $9 million plus the Krug LTIR money. So it's down closer to like whatever it is, $15 million. But the point is, they will be able to match whatever you throw at Jake Neighbors. And you're not going to go just be like, oh, we're going to give the $9 million offer sheet to Jake Neighbors just to get back at him and then have to give a bunch of first round picks for him. So again, it takes a certain sweet spot with a lot of things for offer sheets to work. St. Louis isn't as vulnerable as the Oilers were because quite frankly, they're not as good.
Yeah, we had a couple of people, tweeting at me saying, go after Detroit's RFAs. Well, they have $17 million in cap space. They'll just match and you just wasted your time.
Yeah.
You made the negotiation process easier out there. It was a perfect situation for the Edmonton Oilers to be picked on a little bit here. Vasily Podkolzin comes over from Vancouver. What are your thoughts on him and where can he fit in this Oilers lineup?
Sorry, Podkolzin?
Yeah.
What I like about him, and again, talking to people in Vancouver, talking to scouting people, I've heard mixed reviews on him. I've talked to people who don't think he's ever going to be an everyday NHLer, but what people like about him is he's big, he likes playing physical, and Vancouver didn't use him in this role, but he has killed penalties over in Russia. So what I like about this move is sometimes with these high picks, like if Vasily Podkolzin would have stayed in Vancouver and next season he kills penalties and is good at it and plays a nice physical third line role and scores you 12 goals, Canucks fans would be like, pick this guy 10th overall. What a dud. If he comes to Edmonton and he does that, kills penalties, scores 12 to 14 goals for the Oilers and is a nice third liner, we're going to be giving Stan Bowman a standing ovation. And if, Podkolzin's physical and he's fighting guys, we're going to love him.
Yeah.
The expectations change when you go to your second city. And I think Podkolzin's ceiling for the Oilers is exactly what I outlined. I think, somewhere in the 10 to 14 goal range. If the year goes well, I hope they use him on the penalty kill and try to see if that's something he can succeed with in the NHL. And he's going to bring you some size.
I always kind of, not always, but like Clem Costin, when he came to Edmonton, all of a sudden that first round draft status, it's like, who cares? We didn't waste our
He was a guy who we took a flyer on.
Yeah, and he paid off certainly very well, cashed in. People still mentioned to bring him back, which he was able to do. So yeah, I'm really interested to see what this Oilers team is going to look like when it all gets going. Tyler, before we let you go here, got to ask about the Buffalo Bills upcoming this season. I know we touched on it last week, but you're in studio this time. What are we thinking about Josh Allen and the new receiving core?
I think it's going to be largely fine. I think as much as they've lost production from their wide receivers, I think they'll gain enough from other spots. I think James Cook is ready to have like a true RB1 lead back kind of year, and they use him a little bit in the passing game. So James Cook can offset some of that. Dalton Kincaid, I think, is ready to take a big step forward in his second year. And with Dawson Knox being healthy and taking maybe some of the grittier tight end duties away from Kincaid's open more in the passing game. So I like what they have still. And what I just keep coming back to whenever I get nervous about the Bills is Stephon Diggs, who really is the big piece you lost on offense. he was below average the last 6 weeks of the season. And in those 6 weeks, he had one of the best offenses in the NHL. So they can succeed without that high-end wide receiver. I'm not super worried about it. The injuries on defense are more concerning now with Milano being out, but still, they're going to be fine. Everyone loves to do this every year because it's the Dolphins and the Jets, and they're always these sexy picks to come in and win the division. And I'll worry about it when the season ends and they don't win the division. I'll put it that way. Because even last year, halfway through the year, everyone's like, oh, division's wrapped up. Bills blew it. Dolphins are going to run away with it. And it's like, no, it's a long season. Like the cream kind of rises, right? And I think the Bills are exactly that.
I'm so interested to see that defense now. I mean, Von Miller's back, but like you said, Milano, Jordan Poyer leaves. Micah Hyde, I think, is still a free agent, actually.
Yeah.
Maybe he's back. Who knows? But
Von Miller's also another year older, which,
Yeah.
I mean, he was borderline unplayable at points last year, so that's not exactly reassuring. But I know they've had a couple of guys in camps. I don't know the names right off the bat, but the Bills people I follow seem to be raving about a handful of names. So that's the other thing, too, especially in those defensive spots. You just never know when a guy's just going to show up and be like, oh, damn, there you go.
you going to a game this year?
Yeah, Seattle. Bills and
In-
Seahawks in Seattle.
In Seattle? Oh.
It's end of October is when they play. And I was just sitting there one day on the couch. I looked and I was like, flights are only like $250. Like, come on, they're right there. I gotta go.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you've done Buffalo, right?
Yeah, I've done the home opener the last 2 years. So this year, no home opener, but I'll go see him in Seattle.
Beautiful. Well, Tyler, thanks for coming in studio today.
Yeah, no problem, guys.
There you go. Tyler Yaremchuk of Oilers Nation Daily Faceoff. He's everywhere. You can check him out on social media as well at Tyler Yaremchuk. Wanye, is that everything you hoped it would be?
He's just so wonderful. 8 a.m. crack of dawn. I'm up watching Tyler, up with the birds. What's he thinking? I was wondering to myself. Now I've heard it twice.
Well, we appreciate Tyler coming in studio. Lots to get to here on the show today. Of course, we're going to talk some Detroit Lions later on. Also, Dave McCarthy. We got Jason Strudwick. The Waz. Wanye Gretz pulling some strings here, getting Matthew Wozniak coming in studio. We're going to talk some soccer along with Liam Pierce. Coming up next, so we'll take more of your text to the eWell inbox, 1-833-401-1440. Right now, we will get to a Sports 1440 update. Hey, brought to you by eWell, supplying the City of Champions and all of Alberta with great electrical gear since 1976. You can order yours now at ewel.ca. Here is Declan Kruger.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
This is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
You adore your Audi, value your Volkswagen, baby your Beamer. But some of that love fades when repairs take several days and tons of cash for the dealership to do their magic. Let Cochran's Automotive rekindle the flame. They'll professionally repair your import, usually in one day. Audi, BMW, Mercedes, Volkswagen, Honda, and Toyota. Toyota, Cochran's Automotive will return her to mint condition. Open at 7 a.m. Let Cochran's Automotive repair your automotive air conditioning before things heat up. Cochran's Automotive, 780-452-5001.
We've finished construction of our gamma radiation containment facility. Is it up to code? Is it going to be safe?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Testing team reporting. We test your commercial operations using tools like infrared to ensure safe operation. Trust us to prevent potential calamity before it strikes.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Get a great night's sleep during the final weekend of the Bricks Summer Sleep Event. Take up to 50% off mattresses, up to $1,200 off sleeper sectionals, and buy more, save more, up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Plus, shop amazing deals in other departments, like up to 20% off outdoor furniture and up to 25% off home entertainment furniture and fireplaces. You won't want to sleep through these fantastic prices. Some exclusions apply. See a store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
You turn on the tap and water comes out. You press the handle and flush the toilet. Living in our modern world, we sometimes take for granted or don't even think about all of the services and conveniences that are around us every day. But GS Construction does. Right under your feet, there's a whole network of underground infrastructure that needs to be built and maintained in order to have these basic services. GS Construction has been laying the groundwork for your community for 50 years. Find out more by going to gsconstruction.ca.
What's cracking at Cattail Crossing? Every Friday after 4 p.m., it's 9 and Dine Fridays. Includes golf for two with a power cart at Cattail Crossing and a $50 food voucher at Out of Bounds Restaurant. Only $119.99. Tea times can be booked at cattailcrossing.ca.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
They say at any given moment, only 7% of people are looking for a car. And that 7% notices advertising for cars. Everyone else, 93%, doesn't even hear it. So this ad is just for the 93% who aren't going to really notice any car ads right now anyway. Hey, it's Scott here from Sherwood and St. Albert Dodge. And I hope you, yes, you, the person listening right now, I hope you have a great day. Anyway, that's it. I'm done.
If you've ever restored a classic car or seen one, you smile because you know what it took to get that beauty looking pristine. The same is true for men who restore their hair. Nothing but smiles for miles. Patients from all over Canada travel to see me, Dr. Vance Elliott, to have their hair loss treated and remedied. I've been helping people for 28 years. My practice is outfitted with the most innovative and latest hair transplant techniques and technology. And I do it myself. Contact us at drvanceelliott.com.
Your mood, come down as fast as a lightning, crossing the stage. Now you can feel the excitement.
Cougar and Donovan Paulson in the studio. Big thank you to Tyler Yaremchuk for swinging by. Always great to have Tyler in the big chair, sharing his knowledge with us.
His anti-Reed Schaefer statements, Connor. You know I'm not, but he respected the fact that he was going to enrage me.
I tiptoed around it. He did not.
I'm the only Reed Schaefer fan left on earth. But you know what? I'm all Reed needs.
Hey, he We never know how it's going to play out.
Love Reed Schaefer.
Winning it is his chance. He might do something. We shall see. Today's Lotto Max, $70 million estimated, and 44 Max Millions. With $1 million, Wanye, you could buy so many Reed Schaefer jerseys. It'd be crazy.
I know you probably can't say it on the air, Connor, but if you won the lotto, would you hire a hitman?
No.
Interesting.
No.
Even with that kind of money.
Well, for what purpose?
Clean up some loose ends.
Yeah.
You got 40 in the bank, tax free. Nobody goes.
No.
Crazy question. Live on AM radio.
What are you, a cop? What are you trying to
Yeah,
grab me
come
here?
on now. Come on.
Yeah, I take care of a few people.
There
What
you
am I-
go.
Yeah.
That's all I needed to know. I just need to confirm there's blood
No,
left.
of course not. I would buy people stuff. I'd be having a party. We'd rent out Bubba Gumps.
Oh my goodness. Can you imagine you go to the lotto signing and they've got the big check, Connor Halley, written across. They're like, what are you planning on doing? Expecting you to say something like buy a boat, and you just go, I'm going to settle some scores. And they're just like, oh.
Cut the camera.
Lotto Max.
Lotto Max. Well, anyways, you can buy yours. We don't recommend doing that with the winnings if you do win, but check out playalberta.ca to do so. It's the Jason Gregor Show live from Ewell Studios in West Edmonton Mall. The text line 1-833-401-1440. Feel free to get your messages in. Lots of content coming up here. We're going to talk some soccer. We got Dave McCarthy coming up. Jason Strudwick, former NHLer, also Mark Spector, and we're going to talk some NFL. We're going to head out to Detroit City. Those Lions, they're building something. Dan Campbell, people laughed at him when he was hired. Well, they're kind of at the last laugh. Dan Miller going to join us. He's the voice of the Detroit Lions. That's coming up at about 5:20, give or take. So a long way to go still. I also do want to let everybody know about the Alberta Lung Feisty Pickles Charity Pickleball Tournament. That goes this weekend. Starts on Friday. Presented to you by Sports 1440, second annual. It's going to go down at Yeg Pickleball. That's 140th Ave and 156th Street. A fun, competitive round robin with medals, swag, food trucks, a silent auction, and prizes for best costume. On Friday, watch local celebrities compete in the kickoff event for free food and drinks. I wasn't invited. I guess I'm not at that celebrity level yet, but we'll get there. Also, you can register for $90 for the mixed men's or women's double events on Saturday and Sunday. All proceeds going to a breathing space, a home away from home for lung transplantations and families. Get the registration links at sports1440.com. Wanye, are you a celebrity that was invited?
No, they must have missed me.
They missed us all.
Did they?
Do you play pickleball?
I do not.
Would you?
I don't even know what it is, Connor.
It's like tennis, but slowed down.
How can that be?
Just the ball doesn't fly as fast. Different rackets, paddles.
On a tennis court?
Smaller than a tennis court, yeah.
So it's 2-on-2.
It can be.
Smaller than a tennis court. No fly ball. That's what it is? Count me out. Is there a Top Golf nearby?
No.
Oh, that's good fun though.
You're
Top
back
Golf.
in. You're back into pickleball then.
Maybe.
We got a text here. EJ. Wow, you guys are unbelievable. So they lost 2 players and couldn't find a permanent spot on the Oilers and combined put up a total of 30 points over 2 years, and now it's the end of the world and they're gone. Holland did nothing right. Didn't draft anyone worthwhile, but somehow did enough to get them into the playoffs several years in a row, and we're 2 goals away from winning a cup. All I hear is a bunch of whiners on your station. Be better. Can't wait till 5.
Be better. Sir, the show ends at 6.
You know, he's insinuating somewhere else.
I see.
From EJ. No, I mean, EJ, it's perfectly fine that you feel that way. They're still going to be a good team. They're still going to make the playoffs. Probably still going to go on a run. I personally think that they just, right now, there's more questions than there were last season. We'll find out what happens. I mean, they're going to accrue probably close to $4 million in space by the time they get to the trade deadline. Could make a move there. You got a second, 2 more thirds in the repertoire. You can fire off for a trade. The Edmonton Oilers, I heard people saying potentially when the team drafted Sam O'Reilly that maybe he could be trade bait. He's going to get more opportunity with the London Knights. So there's going to be moves to improve this team. Absolutely. Like, I don't want anyone to think we're panicking. The sky's falling. Ken Holland built a really good team. And all of a sudden it's been pieces of it are being pulled away one by one. His first round draft picks. That's undeniable. But to anyone who thinks that we're panicked or worried about what Ken Holland did, no chance, EJ. You're on point. We're no need for people to freak out.
Can I address the be better comment?
Yes, of course.
If you're pointing at someone like this, Connor, and saying be better, 3 of your own fingers are pointing back at you. Do you know that? This finger and that finger and that finger. So when he's telling us that we need to be better, maybe he needs to be better.
It was a good line.
Yeah.
I like that.
Think about that.
Eric said, is it possible to swing by and grab a gallon of the Kool-Aid Tyler's drinking? Maybe then I'll feel better about the disastrous state of the Oilers defense. Eric, you know what? Tyler was very, very positive when it came to Ty Emberson.
That Kool-Aid is called moonshine, and he made it in his basement.
We will have to wait and see exactly how it plays out. Like so many of these things, like I don't know how, and maybe it's just great for polarizing discussion, how people can be so confident one way or the other. Like in my mind, the Oilers defense without Cody Ceci, without Philip Broberg and Vinny Desharnais, it took a step back. I'm not saying it's going to cost them this season, but I think right now it's fair to be wondering what's going to happen. Maybe not too optimistic, maybe even a little pessimism in this one. Well, again, we got to wait and see what happens there. Name coming in here from Colin. Thank you. Hey, boys, what about Rasmus Anderson as a trade target? Wanye?
I don't know. What do you think, Connor?
I think no chance.
There it is.
As a player, yeah. not a bad one. But is he going to be traded from the Calgary Flames to the Edmonton Oilers? Like, we just went through this. They don't want to send anyone to Edmonton. They don't want to help the Oilers. Much rather send him to Dallas.
I don't see there's any.
Somewhere else.
Do you even envision any roster players added between now and the start of the season?
Well, I mean, I guess we'll wait and see. Maybe there's a depth piece as a PTO.
Yeah,
but
I think this is it. I think this is the team, and we got to shuffle the cards as we may to get the most out of them.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, it's going to come down to coaching. And when we saw guys on this Oilers team take great steps with coaching, like Vinny Desharnais, he came along very well. This was a couple of years, obviously, and he was an older player. But yeah, I want to wait and see what happens when we get out there on the ice, get the pucks flying. I mean, you can lose some players defensively. Maybe there's more of a commitment to team defense, 5-on-5, even strength, you know? Hello, boys. Heard the Oilers are considering a PTO for Tyson Barrie. That's from Heffy. And that was one of those names that we've heard a bunch of times here on the show. Tyson Barrie, Justin Schultz. We've heard Shattenkirk from Spec is the name he's mentioned a few times as someone he would be looking at. I don't know how much Tyson Barrie has to offer. He's not going to anchor the power play because you have Evan Bouchard doing that. So I don't know. And he was having a hard time getting ice time in Nashville last year. JR in Red Deer, just on the topic of going back to the Broberg draft. Caulfield and Zegers haven't done much more than Broberg. Yeah, those two had very hot starts in their NHL career. Zegers getting on the cover of an NHL video game. Cole Caulfield, I think, burst onto the scene in the playoffs. So a lot of people, when they were having their success, were really ripping on Philip Broberg as a player, saying, where is he? Another one where I'm just saying, cautiously optimistic. Wait and see. And right now, I wouldn't be overly confident to say I'd rather Cole Caulfield or Zegers over Broberg. I still want to see what Philip Broberg can come. $4.5 million, quite a bit, but what are we going to get from this player in the future? I think there is a lot of upside. Ontario Momes, if there were any flame to go after, it'd be Weegar. I just can't see the Flames and Oilers making a deal. I know we've seen it in the past. Obviously, they did each other a favor, or thought they did with James Neal and Milan Lucic. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't see that one happening. What's the update on Gibbs from Montana to Rice? Well, Declan, you had it in your update there that Jahmyr Gibbs, according to head coach Dan Campbell of the Detroit Lions, he's looking like he'll be good to go at week 1. We'll confirm that when we talk Detroit Lions later on in the show. Talk about that receiving core as well. Jared Goff and the defense. The Detroit Lions in a competitive division. The Chicago Bears going to be a lot better. Green Bay Packers have a very good team. The Vikings. We'll see. We'll see how this quarterback play goes with Sam Darnold. But they do have some very nice pieces on that roster there. Back to the text line. Perplexed Oilers fans says, I don't think it's a draft problem. I think it's a tryout problem. Kesselring would never had a chance in Edmonton. Unless you're a first round, maybe second, or a giant D-man, there's no chance. Not even a look in the NHL. That's a big issue. Hard on low picks. Yeah, Kesselring, never really got a look, but I think his time hadn't come yet. I think given a few more years, maybe there would have been an opportunity. But he could be a nice little piece there for the Utah Hockey Club when they inevitably get a team. Austin says Arvidsson is a glass doll. Yeah, well, he does have some injury concerns, that is for sure. That's another one. While I think some people thought that maybe Dylan Holloway would be good to keep around just in case the injury problem surfaced there. Just a little more depth on the wing. Won't be a thing anymore. Pat says, how many hypocrites are there out there? Philip only played in the last 10 games of the season. People are saying this because we lost the CC. We lost Cody CC. There we go. And they were bashing him forever. A bunch of turncoats, if you ask me. The defense is fine. Gord says, I'm not concerned about losing CC, Broberg, and Holloway short term. There is still time to trade for quality defensemen. Sometimes what seems like a dead end might open up other opportunities. Gord, I love the optimism. My question is, when you say still time to trade for a quality defenseman, who do you got? Who's out there that the Oilers could afford and have the assets to bring in? I don't know. I think I'm kind of with Wanya. I think you're looking at the team right now and not only the players you have. Jimmy Eats World, great name, says we had the same question about Vinny last year. Oh, sorry. We had the same question of the defense last year. We can't go into the season with Vinny. Not exactly sure what that means. You don't have Vinny. What you got is what you got. 1-833-401-1440. Get those texts in here. When we come back on the show, we're going to head out east. We're going to talk to Dave McCarthy of Sirius XM NHL. Hear him all the time there. He's working nonstop with Sirius out east. Still to come on the show, we're going to talk some soccer. We got Waz coming in here with Liam. Oh, are they right behind me?
They were out there in the hallway. They must be looking at Bubba Gump.
I don't want to turn right around for the YouTube folks. I like to try to keep my face staring at the camera as much as possible. But yeah, they'll be by. Strutty, we got Spec. We're going to talk some Detroit Lions. Quickly to the YouTube here. Cramrose Chris, how is the D fine? That's crazy.
I don't disagree.
I guess it depends who you ask. It's all about perspective right now. Some people confident, some people nervous, some people intrigued. I'm in the intrigued category myself.
Like, you can make a case that if your first pairing is as strong as Bouchard and Ekholm, that you just need serviceable players who can hold their own after that. You can make that case. I don't think the D is nearly as good as it was when the season ended.
I'm with you. We'll see what happens. Hey, plenty of hockey to be played. Still a long ways away before that even happens. And we'll be talking about it through the entirety of the year. I can already tell pre and post game shows that's going to be one of the big topics. Just like it would have been if Philip Broberg stayed. Anytime he made a mistake, it would have been like, oh, that $4.5 million defenseman. Not going to have to worry about that. Now we can talk about Darnell Nurse and his contract in 82 games. It's going to be a lot of fun when it all gets going. We'll take a break. When we come back, joined by Dave McCarthy. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Be melon jolly, not melancholy. Summer is ripe for fun, and some Booster Juice bestsellers are back in season. Watermelon smoothies, including the refreshing Watermelon Wave, a berry burst of strawberries, raspberries, pomegranate, and vanilla frozen yogurt. And fan favorites, Watermelon Explosion, a refreshing burst of bananas, mangoes, and pineapple, both made with watermelon sorbet and probiotic yogurt. All of the watermelon, none of the seeds. Visit a Booster Juice near you today or download the Booster Rewards app.
Rule number 12, not spending the afternoon tubing on the Pembina. Next, you're going to tell us you don't wear flannel. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days, because we all know they won't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
You don't work for GMC, but it's kind of like you do because you pay what we pay. GMC employee pricing is on now on all 2024 GMC Sierra half-tons and Hummers. Oh, but at Wolf GMC Buick, it's even better. Get GMC employee pricing on every in-stock 2024 GMC. If it's new and a 2024 and it has that beautiful GMC logo on it, then it's GMC employee priced. Pay what we pay, but only until August 26th. Get into Wolf GMC Buick now and see the over 200 GMCs in stock.
Gather around the radio, kiddies, for the best time of day. It's Oodle Noodle time. Listen in this week as your noodle hero battles the barbarous Bobby Burger. Now sing along. You know the word. Oodle Noodle time. Oodle Noodle time. You know what time it is now. Get up and give me your best Oodle Noodle dance. Your best time of day is noodle time.
They say at any given moment, only 7% of people are looking for a car, and that 7% notices advertising for cars. Everyone else, 93%, doesn't even hear it. So this ad is just for the 93% who aren't going to really notice any car ads right now anyway. Hey, it's Scott here from Sherwood and St. Albert Dodge. And I hope you, yes, you, the person listening right now, I hope you have a great day. Anyway, that's it. I'm done.
In Mall, the text line 1-833-401-1440. Edmonton Rob, all caps, more cowbell. Yes, well played, Declan, on that one. Brew Crew texting in, boys, the issue for me is the management of the Oilers did a great job of raising my season tickets, then failed to re-sign Broberg, who worked himself into a second-line defense. Jackson dropped the ball here. Brew Crew, you're not alone in that sentiment. I think a few people out there are thinking that this is something that could have been handled earlier on in the offseason, get Broberg and potentially Dylan Holloway signed for cheaper. But, we'll have to wait and see how it all pans out because, I believe Philip Broberg's agent said there was a few teams that were interested in an offer sheet. Who knows how much truth there is with that one, when it could have been done. But I think, there's probably a few people in that Oilers organization thinking, could we have avoided this had we just got them signed a little bit earlier? We'll never really know. One thing I do know is right now at McDonald's, you can get a $1 cone or a $2 sundae topped with either hot sauce or hot fudge. Hot sauce might not be so great. Might be okay. Or caramel sauce. You get your cones and sundaes today at McDonald's. We're going around the NHL with Dave McCarthy of Sirius XM. Dave, good afternoon. How are things going?
Connor, what's going on, buddy? Nothing to talk about in Edmonton, I understand, eh?
Slow news day for us for sure. No, it's been quite crazy. There's a lot of differing opinions on what went here with Edmonton and, were they at fault because there have been things they did differently. Doesn't even matter. Depends on your perspective, I suppose. So I guess, we talked about it last week when the news happened that the offer sheets were sent out there to Holloway and Philip Broberg. Was a little high for Broberg, but some people thought you got to match so you don't lose him. So I want to just ask you, going back to last week to now, any surprise that this played out the way it did with the Edmonton Oilers, letting both of these players walk?
I mean, yes and no. Anytime you develop a guy like Philip Broberg, you want to see him reach his potential with your organization. Defensemen like him, the potential of what he has to grow into, I won't say don't come around very often, but are harder to procure than the type of forward that Dylan Holloway projects to be, which is an effective player, but like a middle six left winger, straight ahead guy, get to the net, that type of thing. At his ceiling, I think Broberg is a guy that can produce offensively, can run a power play, can handle comfortably 20, 22 minutes a night. You don't want to see that guy move on. But the problem with the Oilers right now is they're in a position where everything is about right now. And right now being literally the day ahead of us, not even the year ahead of us. They could have handled it, and I thought they made some interesting moves on Sunday, moving Cody Ceci, getting Ty Emberson back, getting Vasily Podkolzin to insulate themselves from having to walk away from these guys. They could have matched this year, but then the issue really would have been next year for Edmonton, not this coming October, the following, when Evan Bouchard requires a new contract and is going to cost a lot more than the 3.9 that he's making right now. And Leon Draisaitl is going to require a new contract, and he obviously is going to cost a lot more than the 8 and change that he's making right now. And that really would have boxed in the Oilers at that point. The other thing that's really interesting is, you ask a lot of guys with this Oilers team to take a little bit less along the way to keep their salary structure in line. And then if you reward a couple of young guys who, let's be honest, have accomplished nothing at the NHL level, you reward a couple of young guys for not just taking what they're worth, but significantly more at this point. Well, then you go to Evan Bouchard and say, I'm going to have to put the squeeze on you, buddy. Don't know if I can find that money. Or you go to Leon Draisaitl and say, I don't know if we can quite find that money. Like then everything starts to fall apart. So I kind of understand why they walked away from both guys, as I guess unfortunate as that is for the Oilers. But I think they've insulated themselves pretty well. And clearly what they've shown is whoever that guy was playing in that role, they wanted to pay him about $1 million. Broberg, as the reporting is suggested, about $1 million, and Holloway about $1 million. They got a guy in Ty Anderson who's making less, and Vasily Podkolzin who's making $1 million. So that's the position that the Oilers are in. And at the end of the day, their core is what's going to get them to where they want to go. They still have the ability to tinker around the edges, which is what those guys were going to be to begin with.
Dave, what do you know about Ty Emberson? Because we just had Tyler Yaremchuk on of Oilers Nation. He is very high on him. The numbers actually weren't too shabby, factoring in playing in on a pretty tough San Jose Sharks team last season. Do you think he can be an everyday NHLer for the Oilers this season?
I mean, I would be fooling people and quite honestly not telling the truth if I suggested I've watched a lot of Ty Emberson play. His numbers on San Jose, not terrible at all. Given how poor that team was last year, they were better than you would have expected. Can he be a Cody Ceci-like player? A guy that plays in a penalty-killing role, can play a little physically, can take care of the front of the net? Maybe, but we'll have to wait and see. The good news is that in making these moves, the Oilers have some cap space right now, and they will have some cap space come the trade deadline, around about $4 million if they do nothing between now and then, which is pretty good. And then if you're able to get teams to eat a good portion of a salary coming in at that time, it only maximizes it even further. So I still think they're well positioned, Edmonton, right now. Obviously, to get to a point at the trade deadline where they're in a position to make the playoffs, and then two, once they see areas of need present themselves, to address them at the trade deadline, and put themselves in the best position to succeed.
Dave McCarthy joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley sitting in for you today. Dave, we had a few people throwing out the idea of potentially throwing a PTO to maybe a veteran defenseman. Some names that have popped up, some familiar ones actually. You wouldn't be too surprised to hear that, I'm sure. So Tyson Barrie, we had Justin Schultz, and then Mark Spector. I don't even know if it was PTO or maybe just kind of a low contract, but maybe a guy like Kevin Shattenkirk. Do you think the Oilers mess with any of those types of scenarios, or do you think they just go steady, like status quo, and then, at the deadline have that $4 million in space?
Yeah, I mean, you look at Tyson Barrie, you look at Kevin Shattenkirk. At this point, I think those are guys that if you're going to get the most out of them, you got to put them on the power play. They got to be running your power play. Well, Evan Bouchard's running your power play in Edmonton, right? So I don't really see a role for that at this point in time for guys like that. That was never the role for Philip Broberg next year to run a power play. That's Evan Bouchard's job now. So I don't really see it for Tyson Barrie or Kevin Shattenkirk. I think they've got the horses right now. Like I said, all you got to do at this point, like everybody gets confused and gets carried away. And the team you have now on August the 20th has got to be the team that's going to take you to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup. No, it has to be the team that gets you to the trade deadline in a position where it makes sense to add at the trade deadline. And I think the Oilers have that kind of a team right now. So, look, Darnell Nurse, if he could play a little bit better than he did at times last year, that would help. I think he would be the first to say that his play needs to improve a little bit. from where he was last year, and that's okay. Everyone has down years at times. It's the nature of the sport. Guys are human beings. They're not machines. You don't have your best year every year. But he's still a young guy, 29 years of age. It wouldn't shock me at all to see him be able to elevate his play back to where we saw it not that long ago. So that would help. And then beyond that, like I said, I wouldn't tinker with the flexibility that Edmonton has right now for a guy that I don't really see a fit with. Get to the deadline, then teams fall out of contention, then suddenly other guys that'll fill the hole that you have much better become available, who are playing on teams that are out of contention, and then you can make a move at that point. I think that better suits your hockey club.
What do you make of the St. Louis Blues going into this upcoming season? I mean, we talked to Andy Strickland a lot last week and mentioned, had the Blues been an Eastern Conference team, they're in the playoffs, they go out there and they didn't want to do a total rebuild or anything like that, but the retooling, of course, they had the cap space to bring in Broberg and Holloway, and good for them, getting them on 2-year deals. Savvy move. What do you think of the St. Louis Blues heading into the upcoming season?
Well, they've got a good collection of players under the age of 25 right now. I think 12 is the number. So what they've done is they've assembled a group of guys that are all within the similar window where they can continue to grow together and try to win. It's not like they've got 3 or 4 guys that are, 20, 21, a bunch of guys that are in their late 20s, a few guys in their early 30s, a bunch of old guys. Like, they've got a real good collection of youth right now. I think they lack some game breakability, though, if you know what I mean. Like, I think they've got a collection of very good players. I don't see anybody who is going to be a guy that can be like a McDavid or a Draisaitl or even a Hyman or like guys that can change games on their own. It has to be a by committee type of team. So Holloway's going to get opportunity. It seems to be why he prioritized going to a team like St. Louis as opposed to remaining in Edmonton. One, the money's twice what he would have been getting in Edmonton, and 2, he's going to get more opportunity. Oilers are in a position where if you can't help me today, you're kind of over there. And for those of you listening on the radio but watching on the YouTube channel, I'm like pointing off over there. Like, you're not my primary concern. If you can help me today, great. If not, okay, well, we've got other things to worry about. So it wasn't about how can we get Dylan Holloway up and running. It's, can Dylan Holloway help us right now? And we saw flashes of that at times, and then other periods of inconsistency. So he's going to get his chance in St. Louis to see if he can grow into a guy that is a player that can live up to the potential that a lot of people seem to think he has. I think St. Louis can fight for a wild card spot, but I don't know. I mean, they're not better than Dallas. I don't think they're better than Colorado. I don't think they're better than Nashville at this point. So then you're fighting for a 4th playoff spot at best. Can they do that? Yeah, I guess so. But I don't know. I'm not all that excited about them, to be honest with you.
Dave, another restricted free agent, Matty Beniers, signing with the Seattle Kraken. He had 37 points last season, 77 games. He gets 7 years with an AAV of $7.14 million. Great for him. What do you like about that contract for the Kraken?
Well, like any deal that you make for a guy coming out of entry level, you're placing a bet. His numbers were not great last year. He took a dip, right, in his production. So do you try and sign him to a 2-year deal, a short-term bridge contract, and hedge, right? See if he can re-elevate his play and continue to trend upwards, at which point 2 years down the road, it's going to cost you a hell of a lot more money. Or do you bet that in his second full year in the NHL, it was a bit of a down year, he comes in, takes the league not by storm, but was very good in his first year. The league adjusts back to him in his second year. And can he get his play now back to a level that was more like we saw in his first full year in the NHL? That's the bet they're placing. I think it's a good bet. Matty Beniers is never going to be a guy under sort of today's economic structure where you're looking at 11, 12 million bucks. I don't see him as that type of a guy. I see him as a as a very quality two-way center at his peak that can produce 70 to 80, 85 points a year. I don't see him as a 100-plus point guy, 40-goal guy. I see him as like an 80-point guy, 25 to 30 goals type thing at his peak, but reliable when he doesn't have the puck. And if that's what he's able to get to, then that's a pretty good ticket for Seattle from their standpoint. 7 and change for what was it, 7 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty good ticket. That's a good bet. And I think it's fairly safe to assume that he'll get back to that. If he does, then he could probably knock it like 9, maybe 10 and a half. So they get a bit of a savings here, which is smart business. They're placing a bet, but I think it's a pretty good bet to place on a guy like Matty Beniers.
Dave, last question for you today is International Hawaiian Pizza Day.
No.
Do you like pineapple on pizza?
No. Fruit does not belong on pizza. When I come to pizza, Connor, I am not looking for fruit. Okay? Vegetables, if you need peppers, onions, what have you, but like fruit should be nowhere near pizza. So no, I cannot get behind Hawaiian pizza. I like pineapple on its own. I like pizza, but those two things do not mesh. They should not be together. There's a poor relationship there, I think.
And what is the go-to pizza then, if it's not Hawaiian?
Well, it's not Hawaiian. You can't, simple is good, right? Pepperoni and cheese. I scoff at the people who are like, and they leave that. Who doesn't like pepperoni and cheese? If you can't eat that, okay, fine, you're a vegetarian if you must. But if you're not a vegetarian and you don't eat pepperoni and cheese, then you're just making a problem for everybody else, right? Like, eat it. It's good. If you want to add to it, onions, peppers, throw some bacon on that. But you can't tell me, if you're not a vegetarian, that for some reason pepperoni pizza is no good for you. If it's not, you're just making an issue.
I'm with you. I also don't like pineapple on pizza. But you know what? That's the good news. With you and I not consuming it, there's more for everyone else, so they can go crazy.
Yeah, it's funny. When they deliver, I don't know if they deliver wheels of za at Rogers Place or whatever in between periods up in the press box, but they do here in Toronto. And there's usually a pepperoni, a cheese. There's one with peppers. There's a Hawaiian. I'll tell you the one that's left over. Okay, it's never the pepperoni and cheese. That's all I'm saying.
I've heard similar reports here at Rogers. Great stuff, Dave. Thanks for coming on today, and we'll talk to you next week.
Okay, thanks, Connor.
There you go. Dave McCarthy, Sirius XM NHL. That was around the NHL. Brought to you by McDonald's right now. $1 cones, $2 sundaes topped with either hot fudge or caramel sauce. Get yours now at McDonald's. Now, that's a polarizing topic, Wanye. I was like looking around the studio. We've got some of our upcoming guests in here, and like it kind of clued into me that they can't hear what we're talking about. They can hear my question, but not Dave's response. So, quick raise of hands. Who likes pineapple on their pizza? We got 1, 2, 3, and a maybe. So, Wanya, you and I are the non-pineapple guys.
To listen to you and Dave badmouth Hawaiian pizza on this Hawaiian Pizza Day, it made my heart glow. Pineapple's disgusting.
I try not to badmouth it. If you want to do it, eat it up. It's just not for me.
If it was National Paella Day and I was dissing paella, you would say, not the day, Wanye. Today's not the day.
This isn't the day to do it.
You two are like, it's Hawaiian Pizza Day. Isn't it disgusting? There you go.
That's boys. The point of the day, I think.
Sell it.
The point of the day is to debate this. Lots of text rolling in here. You can give us your thoughts on pineapple pizza. Bacon King brings up Donair pizza. Yeah, Donair is always good. Pepperoni and pineapple for the win. A great mix of spice and sweet from T the Exterminator. And JR in Red Deer says, does Dave eat tomatoes and peppers on pizza? Those are fruit. Best pizza is a classic cheese from AZ. If it's a good quality pizza, simple is best. The Kevin McAllister special. Darnell Nurse is not playing up to his contract. It's the biggest obstacle on this roster. Could you imagine him carrying a pairing it wouldn't matter who they put next to him. Ontario Moms, that's fair. E-Town Man says, if you get a chance to talk Holloway in the future, ask him about Emerson. They played together at Wisconsin. Well, yeah. Emerson was coached by Coach Knobloch down at Hartford as well. So we can ask him. I'm sure he'll have a glowing review. Get shut down defenseman. And we've got Braden saying, guys, I truly believe the Oilers will regret not signing Broberg. He's going to be a number one stud in St. Louis this season. It's high praise. Walter says, the no fruit argument on pizza totally falls apart when one considers the fact that the sauce is made from tomato fruit.
You want to hear my favorite pizza, Connor?
Yes.
And how I came to eat it?
Of course.
When I was a younger man, I used to work at a golf store, and the older cool guys at the golf store would order lunch. You know how they do. And one time they ordered me a pizza, and for some reason or other, it was ham and shrimp. An odd combination, to say the least. But I was the new guy, and I didn't want to say anything, so I ate it. And you got to be careful what you wish for, because it was imprinted in their brains. And on Saturday afternoon, old Wanye loves nothing more than a ham and shrimp pizza. I ate it for years. I didn't want to say anything. And now I kind of like it.
Crew on you.
Ham and shrimp.
I like ham and green pepper.
Very odd.
Yeah, I'm the weirdo. Plumber Steve, tomatoes are fruit. And that's why, yeah. John, someone tell Dave tomatoes are fruits. Hey, that's...
A lot of fruit inspectors.
That's his opinion.
Yeah.
Come on, Connor. Meat lovers with pineapple. That's legit, dude. See, I would just go sans pineapple, and I would absolutely love it. Last one here. More text coming in. Maybe I was just lying. HB Sandy Beach. I order pineapple with ham, pepperoni, and loaded with banana peppers. Pepawaiian is the best. Pepperoni, pineapple, mushroom.
Did he just call it Pepawaiian?
Pepawaiian.
There's innovation today in the text line.
Ham, shrimp, pineapple, so great. Triple C in a truck. I believe noted Philadelphia Eagles fans. Okay, we're going to take a break here. When we come back, we'll talk some soccer. We've got Waz. We've got Liam Peace in the building. It's going to be good. You're going to run this segment, Wanye.
You want me to run the soccer segment?
All soccer. It's you.
Oh, we'll do our best after the break.
I'm talking sock. Coming up next, it is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440 and Oilers Nation, Facebook, YouTube, and X. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson with you. The show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Honk your home for Papa John's newest deal. It's one big deal for one big pizza. An extra large New York style one topping pizza for only $17.99. Papa John's original fresh, never frozen dough. Hand stretched thinner to make 8 extra large slices with your favorite mouth-watering toppings. So hold and fold that slice like a New Yorker. Bigger is better when it comes to pizza. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get some extra large New York style one topping pizza for only $17.99 at Papa John's.
Jonathan and Murray are friends.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy. Except when they talk about which stadium is more fun in the summer.
Dude, Commonwealth has Elks Fan Park. Tailgating at its finest.
But it can't compare to the old ballpark in the River Valley. Riverhawks games are electric. But ask them who makes the best beef jerky in Alberta, and they'll tell you.
Wilhauk Beef Jerky.
It's the only thing everyone can agree on. So, pick some up for your summer pregame snack.
Wilhauk Beef Jerky, because you don't win friends with salad.
Why tee off at the Ranch Golf and Country Club?
A fun, unique layout offering premier conditions. The Ranch has been ranked as one of the top public courses in Canada.
Unmatched value. Score Golf Magazine rated the Ranch as the best value in Edmonton.
The service, from tournaments to special events to the pro shop. Superior service that makes every visit exceptional.
The Ranch Golf and Country Club, a laid-back environment where anyone can enjoy an amazing day on the fairways. For details, visit theranchgolf.com.
A premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development is proud to be entering its 8th season of independent borderless hockey, featuring provincial and cross-province competition with showcase style, regular season gameplay, and a strong commitment to individual skill development. It's an attractive option for those seeking family life balance. The Hockey Super League offers opportunities for both male and female athletes born between 2011 and 2016. Visit hockeysuperleague.com for more information.
Get a great night's sleep during the final weekend of the Brick Summer Sleep Event. Take up to 50% off mattresses and up to $1,200 off sleeper sectionals. And buy more, save more. Up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Plus, shop amazing deals in other departments, like up to 20% off outdoor furniture and 25% off home entertainment furniture and fireplace. You won't want to sleep through these fantastic prices. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
For over 65 years, Denham Ford has delivered the customer service and value that keeps Albertans moving. And nothing moves Albertans better than Canada's best-selling truck, the Ford F-150. Here now with rates as low as 0% or savings up to $17,000. That's the value you've come to expect from where cars always cost less. 0% or $17,000 off F-150s. Only at Denham Ford in Wetaskiwin or at denhamford.ca.
Here's Dr. Vance Elliott to talk about Advanced Hair and Skin Surgery's new website.
We needed to spruce things up a bit and give it a modern look.
Sounds like your website needed a little surgery.
Exactly. It's easier to navigate, much more user-friendly, has an updated patient gallery, and answers to the most commonly asked questions.
There's even a section about you.
I want you to know my story, so you'll be confident that I'm the right doctor to help shape your story.
To learn more, check out the new
Fence of the
website
monkeys?
at drvanceelliott.com.
Fuck, maybe they shouldn't get Mpox then.
The only thing as hot as the weather this summer is a night out at On the Rocks. Every weekend, enjoy live music and top DJs spinning your favorite tracks. The dance floor is the place to be. Celebrating a birthday or stagette? Let OTR take the work out of the planning for you. Book your party online at ontherocksedmonton.com. Join OTR every evening from 4 p.m. for a great atmosphere and good company. There's something for everyone to enjoy. Grab your Good Vibe Drive and head to On the Rocks, corner of Jasper Ave and 118th Street.
So you've decided you want to start hiking. Nobody would say, I'll just wear my kids' flip-flops until I have more experience. The first thing you do is buy the right shoe size and style to fit you. Same with golf. You can't just buy clubs off the rack. They won't be the right size or style for you. Only Fitted Golf works with you to identify your swing style and then matches your clubs exactly to that swing. Check out our Instagram and YouTube channel to see the success others have with clubs fit to their swing. Fitted Golf, where we continue to prove it's your clubs.
Bacon or sausage and egg McMuffin? It's a delicious dilemma. But what if you didn't have to choose? The Mighty McMuffin is back with bacon and sausage. Mighty McMuffin, mighty impressive.
Army Darrow,
For a
he
limited
also
time at participating McDonald's in Canada.
doesn't like pizza talk or
In
soccer
summer,
talk.
the prices
Comedy
are
show
even
turned
hotter
pizza
when
talk.
you
Still
drive
better than
away in a
soccer
new
talk.
Mitsubishi from Cross Mitsubishi.
Home of the largest 2024 Mitsubishi inventory in Western Canada.
All this month, get 0% financing for 60 months on 2024
We need
RVR,
it.
Mirage, Eclipse, Cross, and Outlander models.
Plus a no-charge extended warranty valued at $3,740.
Visit Cross Mitsubishi today and drive your
Yeah.
ambition.
9605 34th Ave and crossmitsubishi.ca.
Darnell Nurse would not have to hate if he wasn't.
Yeah.
You don't have the contract. No one's caring.
Yeah.
Not. Yeah.
Well, inbox the Jason Gregor Show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Got the Lotto Max tonight, and of course, lots going on in the sporting world. We've got the Major Leagues of Baseball, CFL, English Premier League is back. Maybe you sprinkle a little money on Liverpool this weekend. Would have been a good move. 2-0 victory. We're going to get to some soccer talk in a second here, but Lone Star Len texted in, hey guys, quick question about the Elks. How and why do they let them do tailgates? Does that not take away from sales within the stadium? Yeah, to a certain extent, but I mean, that's football. Like every NFL team has great tailgates. You see it around the CFL a little bit more and more. Calgary Stampeders been doing it for a long time. It's just a way to get people out at the game, get the energy up a little bit, and, you know, maybe lubricate them just a little bit. They're still going to spend that money when they get inside the gates, but it might seem like it's kind of a little bit of a setback, I guess. You know, you're going to eat before, drink before, but people still spend money, and the tailgates down at Commonwealth Stadium have been absolutely awesome. Montana Rice just text in, Dear Slim. Yes, Declan with the music. I don't know if anyone's clued in yet to your game that you're playing right now, because you're still going, right?
No game today.
Are you sure?
100%. After you guessed it, after 4 songs, I went the rest of the day doing it, and then today I just nixed it because it was way too hard and it wasn't fun for me anymore.
Army Darrell says tailgates rock. Absolutely. Okay, let's get to the soccer report. You could call it the footy report, but we're going to call it the soccer report. Brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where the rates never change. Do you need a late night service or on the weekends? No, not overtime charges with Legacy Heating and Cooling. That's how you build a legacy at legacyheating.ca. We got Liam Peace and Waz in the studio. Good afternoon, guys. How you doing?
We're doing well.
Doing fantastic.
Good to be back on the talking about footy because Liam and I have not talked footy in about a year now. But
it makes me think is that Christmas song is the most magical time of the year for me as a soccer fan. It is the most magical time for sure.
Next to the World Cup.
Well, the Premier League has a special spot in my
Champions
heart.
League. But
yeah, I mean it's all good,
Right.
but to have it back is certainly
good.
a big deal. Over the weekend, you saw Man City kind of continue their reign of terror. I don't know if you guys
Well,
are Man U fans or Man City.
Yes, I'm a United supporter, unfortunately, if you're listening. But I was kind of happy to see City defeat Chelsea for some other reasons that we want to get into.
I mean, all the offseason was the entire story, especially during the Euros, of Marc Cucurella, the Spanish fullback, making fun of Manchester City's star Erling Haaland. So he had a song that came out saying Erling Haaland trembles when he sees Cucurella, and as history does, Erling Haaland sits Cucurella down to score the first goal of the season.
Did happen. It was like 17 minutes in. Cucurella, I think, tries to intercept the ball. He was just right beside Haaland, and Haaland just sits him down, scores the goal as he does. And then there was also later in the match where Cucurella falls down. He's looking hurt, as footy players do. And Haaland just walks past him, just kind of laughs at him, smirks at him. And it's like, and the thing is, Cucurella was like, "Can you help me? Can you help me?" Haaland's like, "No, you dissed me randomly." It was out of nowhere. Honestly, it was kind of out of pocket. It was like, "Oh, well, Haaland trembles when he sees Cucurella coming," and it's like, I don't know why he took a shot at Haaland.
It was a weird situation. I mean, I think it just was the biggest name he could think of, especially in the same league that he plays in. But I mean, Chelsea Man City was the first top 6 game of the season. The two big teams come together in the first weekend, and I mean, Manchester City just does what they do. They win games. They know how to control a game. They know how to just, whatever you throw at us, we'll deal with it, and we will find a way to beat you. And a little extra salt in the Chelsea wound, because it was their former player, Mateo Kovacic, who scored the second goal. And not only did he score it, he walked through the two center midfielders who replaced him for £100 million each. So, I mean, walks through them, scores a fantastic goal. And Chelsea, a little bit of a tire fire at the moment. I know Declan over there shaking his head.
We've got some Chelsea fans that have texted in. They've gone back and forth with Declan talking about that. I'm going to let Declan ask you guys, but first, with great power comes great responsibility. I'm in this chair. I have to ask about Liverpool. Got the 2-0 win over Ipswich Town. Powerhouse known for sure, right? When Liverpool beats them, it's a big accomplishment. But how are the Reds looking this year?
I'm excited by them. I mean, people talk a lot about it. They haven't made a single signing yet this year, but their team is fine. I mean, Jurgen Klopp last season had that team fighting in a good position, and they had a ton of injuries last year. This season, if injuries stay away, I don't see why that team cannot challenge for the title. They have a brand new coach, Arne Slot. He came in from the Netherlands. So I really think Liverpool will be in the title conversation come the end of the year.
Yeah, they'll probably still be in that top 4 conversation, maybe for the title. They still have a lot of their seasoned experienced players in Van Dijk, Robertson, Fran, Salah. They Darwin Nunez. I think they're expecting a much stronger season. I think he had a good year last year, but I think they're expecting a lot more from him this year.
Matt Wozniak,
yes,
he's joining us here on. Just reintroducing you, but I will ask you guys a question in a second. Joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. I'm not going to turn this into the Chelsea report, but I will start with them before we dip into the Prem a little bit. Obviously Mauricio out. Enzo comes in. I think one of the big things Chelsea supporters found was that Mauricio, he had a unique ability to get a lot from his young players. Like he got a lot out of Cole and Enzo and Moises and things like that. And I think there's a little bit of trepidation that Enzo could be in over his head a little bit here. And I think it was Kara on Stick to Football said he'd be surprised if he lasted till January. Like I think that's a bit of a reach, but I want to get your guys' opinions on him coming in as the manager. We talked about it when you guys first came in here. They're buying everybody. It seems like they have 40 guys on the first team squad. Your thoughts on them buying everyone out, it seems, and then, like I said, Enzo being the manager now for the club?
I don't know. It feels like Chelsea is just right now, they're trying to find some form of an identity, especially with all these players they bought in. Their midfield is loaded to the brim. I don't really know what they are, and that's what I'm trying to figure out. I think they played okay against City. They created some chances, just couldn't finish. And City, you gotta finish those chances, or else.
I mean, like you said there with Chelsea, what is their identity? I think the project that is currently happening at Chelsea is not a 1 to 2 year project. It's a 5 to 7 year project where they're heavily investing in young players and they're looking to try to kind of extend the life of Chelsea Football Club in terms of bringing in the next generation of great players to the Premier League. And yes, they are buying everybody. They have 44 players currently registered in the first team. Joao Felix is coming in to make it 45. It's mental. They spent 230 million pounds just this summer. But is he the right coach, Enzo Marchesa? I think he is an exciting coach. He did great things at Leicester City last season in the championship. But that's a big step up to go from Leicester City to Chelsea with all of these players at his disposal. I don't think it was the right move.
One more about Chelsea really quickly here before we move on to the rest of the Prem. How many players right now in the Prem would you sub out Cole Palmer for? Because I think it's a very short list. He's my favorite player. I try to talk about it as much as I can on the station. I think it's a very slim list. Saka is in that conversation. Holland, obviously, he's a legit striker. He doesn't play where Cole Palmer plays. But if you're just talking about, they call it a swap in football, but for our purposes, a trade. Yeah. Like, how many guys come to mind for you two?
He just won the PFA Young Player of the Year just today. Yeah, like I said, Bukayo Saka definitely on the list. I would put Phil Foden as well. I think what he can
just
do.
Won Player of the Year.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, that list is, I'd say, within 3, maybe 4.
I would say Phil Foden, without a doubt. I mean, he's one of England's, if not England's best player, maybe next to Jude Bellingham at the moment.
Would you not say you could make the argument Cole played better than Phil at the Euros this past summer?
Oh, 100%.
If he had gotten the game time, I think England could have done way better. I know they made the final, but the way that they played in the entire tournament was not as exciting as it could.
I also feel like we didn't hear much about Foden in the Euros, but
no.
Do you want to ask the question?
Yeah, no, I'm happy to keep going here. I just don't want to hog too much of the mic time. Villa, obviously, Villa playing Champions League this year. How much is that going to take a toll on them? Like, I don't see them being a top 4 team. I think they can make Europe be a top 6 team, but I just think top 4 is too much of a stretch because of the toll the Champions League is going to take on them. Do you guys echo that sentiment, or am I way off here?
I mean, they had a great win for the first game, 2-1 over West Ham. A bit of a comeback victory in terms because they scored late on to win it. Champions League football will be a big challenge for that team and that squad size. They don't have the 40 players like Chelsea are playing with. I think they have the right manager, though. They have a great European manager who has won multiple European titles. He knows how to get the best out of maybe not the best players. So I think Villa will be in that top 5 conversation again. Will they get top 4 Champions League? That could be a stretch this year.
Because that's the natural next question, right? Like, I think I would be safe in assuming you guys think City, Arsenal are in the top 2, and then the next question, of course, who finishes in that top 4?
I'm really hoping it's Manchester United. I think they can. I've seen some people write them off. I've seen them in the mix for maybe that 3rd spot, 4th spot. I've seen a lot of people saying Arsenal's going to win the league this season. I think
they're my pick.
I've seen them more picked than City for once, and I don't know if that has to do with the charges that City's facing that could potentially actually hurt them in the league.
Yeah, for me personally, I did choose Arsenal to win the league this year just because Manchester City, I think they will have a points deduction or some kind of penalty that will affect them.
Which is crazy, especially considering how, they've won the 4 last Premier League titles, I'm pretty sure. Like, no one's ever done that. So, is it the last 4 they won?
3.
Yeah, 3. I thought it's Liverpool in 2020, but nobody saw that.
No, it's, that top 4, I think United will be in the conversation. 100% Liverpool will be. I think it's a 3-horse race for first place. Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester City. That will be the challenge. That 4th spot is up for grabs for another
Spurs,
3-4 teams. Yeah,
I think they'll be in the
Chelsea
mix.
Will be in the mix because they have great players other than a center forward to put the ball in the net.
Did you mention Newcastle? Because Newcastle's been in the mix for the last. I'm interested to see how
they're interesting because they don't have European football to play, so they are able to focus on the Premier League.
We're talking a little English Premier League with Waz and Liam Peace here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, Declan Kruger with you right now. 1-833-401-1440. Any text questions you might have, and we do have one coming in that we'll get to in a second from Liam of Oilers Nation.
Oh, wow.
But my question for you guys, one of my favorite parts about English Premier League and, soccer in Europe, promotion, relegation.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think are the candidates to be relegated this year?
For me, it's the three that came up from the championship.
that
I
easy,
think
eh?
they're just going to go right
Interesting.
back down.
No.
It's such a hard league to stay in.
No love for Ipswich.
They made a great signing
Powerhouse.
today in Armando Broya from Chelsea.
They did.
So
Yep.
I think he's
Got him
going to
on
do
loan.
fantastic for them. But it's a tough league to come into and stay in. The money that is thrown around is ridiculous. So the three up will go right back down in my mind.
I feel like Everton could be in the mix there. I feel like their time is finally arriving for them. Have they been?
That would be a huge
Yeah,
relegation for the Premier
They
League.
look really bad against Brighton.
So I think Ipswich likely will be. They're one of those yo-yo clubs where they come up, they go down, possibly.
Nottingham Forest as well will be in the conversation, I think.
But, a couple of years ago, I thought Fulham was a yo-yo club, and they've been staying up for a couple of years now. So it's very interesting to see. But Everton is the one team I'll be watching.
And final question. We'll wrap it up here. This comes in from Liam of Oilers Nation. He says, please ask Waz about the Bolton Wanderers.
Top club. Hopefully you'll see them in the Premier League soon enough. I believe they're in League One.
I think
Yeah, they
they're
are.
far ways away from Premier League.
I think they're in 9th spot right now.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
the climb is not easy, but we'd worth it when they get there.
One last real quick one from me. On a scale of 1 to 10, how surprised is Ivan Toney that Ivan Toney is still at Brentford?
I would say like a 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
That's not bad. I thought it'd be a little higher.
I'd say he's probably about a 7 in terms of surprise he's at Brentford. I'm at a 12 out of 10 in terms of surprise he's moving to Saudi Arabia rather than a Premier League top 6 team.
All right. And should we give a quick shout out to Adam in Ireland?
Oh, yes. Adam Bennett is watching us from all the way in Ireland. I forget what part of Ireland, but shout out to Adam. He's been a follower of us for a while now. So
Long
shout out to
time.
Ireland.
Waz, Liam, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you so much.
A lot of fun talking a little English Premier League. Hey, maybe we'll do it a little bit more on the show. That was our footy report brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Check them out online at legacyheating.ca. Coming up still on the Jason Gregor Show, we're going to be joined by former NHLer Jason Strudwick, also Mark Spector, and we're going to head out to Detroit City, talk some Lions with the voice of the team, Dan Miller. It is the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, Declan Kruger with you. Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Right now, we'll get to a Sports 1440 update. Brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home with no payments, no interest for 1 year on your AC unit. Stay cool all summer long at legacyheating.ca.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, news around the Edmonton Oilers as the Oilers have elected not to match the offer sheets from the Blues on defenseman Philip Broberg and forward Dylan Holloway. Edmonton will receive a second-round pick back for Broberg and a third-round pick back for Holloway from the Blues as compensation. Other news surrounding the Oilers and Blues, Paul Fisher and a third-rounder in 2028 heading to the Oilers for future considerations after not matching offer sheets. And the Seattle Kraken have signed forward Matty Beniers to a 7-year deal with a $7.14 million AAV. CFL news, Chad Kelly will be getting the start and has issued an apology ahead in his first start since the suspension, getting the start against the Rough Riders in Week 12. Drew Brown of the Ottawa Redblacks is taking reps despite a foot injury, and the Montreal Alouettes have brought back Austin Mack following his NFL stint. MLB action getting going this hour. We'll see the Diamondbacks and Marlins and Rockies and Nationals. Then later on in the day, we'll see the Reds and Blue Jays. Jose Barrios on the mound in that one with a 5:07 first pitch. And 3 games in the WNBA that I'll get going in just under an hour's time. The Cameron Brinkless LA Sparks taking on the Connecticut Sun. The Dallas Wings taking on the league's best New York Liberty, and the Seattle Storm heading out east to take on the Washington Mystics. In hour number 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Jason Strudwick and ask another edition of 5 questions. I'm Declan Kruger, and this has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray Radio Station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Honk your home for Papa John's newest deal. It's one big deal for one big pizza. An extra large New York style 1-topping pizza for only $17.99. Papa John's original fresh, never frozen dough. Hanes stretched thinner to make 8 extra large slices with your favorite mouth-watering toppings. So hold and fold that slice like a New Yorker. Bigger is better when it comes to pizza. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get some extra large New York style 1-topping pizza for only $17.99 at Papa John's.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Rule number 116. In Waterton, walk with a lean. The wind will always prop you up. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instants, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
You see us working on the roads. You see us working in neighborhoods throughout Edmonton and area. What are we doing? We are GS Construction, and we're moving, upgrading, and repairing all of that underground infrastructure so that other work can go on. Things like maintaining water, wastewater, and stormwater draining services. Things you may take for granted, but definitely need. For 50 years, GS Construction has been laying the groundwork for your community. Find out more by going to gsconstruction.ca.
Be melon jolly, not melancholy. Summer is ripe for fun, and some Booster Juice bestsellers are back in season. Watermelon smoothies, including the refreshing Watermelon Wave, a berry burst of strawberries, raspberries, pomegranate, and vanilla frozen yogurt. And fan favorites, Watermelon Explosion, a refreshing burst of bananas, mangoes, and pineapple, both made with watermelon sorbet and probiotic yogurt. All of the watermelon, none of the seeds. Visit a Booster Juice near you today or download the Booster Rewards app.
The red hot summer savings continue.
In hour number
with
2 of
Fairways
the
to
Jason
Heaven.
Gregor Show, we will
Join us as we tee off at Westlock Golf Club, an 18-hole championship course like no other. The front nine features large, undulating greens and wider fairways, while the back nine offers a challenging, more traditional style with tighter fairways and smaller greens. On Monday, August 26th, a twosome can play Westlock for only $70 with Power Cart. That's right, just $70 for you and a friend with cart. Plus, there's still time for everyone to enter this season's grand prize draw for a $1,500 prepaid visa from the Golf Cart people. For details and to reserve your tee time at Westlock, start here. K97fairways.ca. Fairways to Heaven.
Connor Halley, Regrets with you. The show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Use promo code SUMMER and get a free $50 casino play with a minimum $5 deposit. Also tonight, Lotto Max, big money, 70 mil plus 44 estimated max millions. PlayAlberta.ca to do that. And remember, use your game sense. We are coming to you live from the EWELL studios here in West Edmonton Mall, where the real power place to shop. EWELL.ca for all your electrical needs online 24/7. EWELL.ca, your partner in power. Quick shout out to everybody tuning in on the Oilers Nation YouTube channel. Shopcat Industries, how's it going? Lars, Derek, Stealth Legends, Jackal. There's a whole lot of you in here. Jason S. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Make sure you hit that like button. I'm talking to all of you. Hit that like button, please. Declan, Wanye, the Wonderwall, just playing by Oasis. One time I was in Calgary for Labor Day and I was on the C train and it was the night before the game and Oasis was in town. And the whole train started singing Wonderwall. And I didn't know if it was cringy or cool, but we just took it all in.
It was in Calgary?
In Calgary.
Cringy.
Everybody knows the words.
That happens in Edmonton? Cool.
You know, Edmonton would have had like a guitar busted out. Actually, I think someone did have a guitar. It was if I had a cell phone and it was like 2024, maybe I would have recorded that. But yeah, it was kind of cool.
When I go down to Calgary, Connor, I bring 8 garbage bags of Edmonton air to breathe, and I bring my own Edmonton tap water to drink. I don't want to be exposed to Calgary germs. I'm old school.
Old school like that.
There was something I was amazed you guys didn't talk about in your soccer report, and I didn't have a mic, so I didn't say anything. But did you see that Mbappe is going to sue PSG for 55 million euros, claiming he wasn't paid on his way out? Can you think of an athlete suing their former team for unpaid wages? I can't think of it.
55 million euros. No, I did kind of scroll across that. We wanted to keep it pure. We wanted to keep it on the field
That's wild,
with
though.
Waz and Liam. But how does that happen? And like how? I mean, that's a ton of money. Maybe they didn't have the money, but they're $1 billion franchise. Like they have the money.
$1 billion company that loses money every year that tried to stitch them over. That's crazy. That's so much money.
They've got a PSG store in Las Vegas.
Really?
Yeah. You can go in there and just buy gear from PSG. It's kind of cool.
That's wild.
Maybe they have them elsewhere. But yeah, that's a lot of money to be owed. I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens. But and also PSG could be banned from Champions League now.
If this goes through,
So-
you got to think they'll settle. This is just to scare us all.
Yeah, I'm sure Mbappe, well, maybe kind of ruining his relationship with that club for the near future. No return when he's like 38.
Cool.
It's not going to happen. The text line is 1-833-401-1440. Got a text in here from Ricky in the Donut saying, I haven't been this mad at Oilers management since Paul Coffey was traded to the Penguins in 87. The Oilers were able to overcome the loss by bringing in legit puck-moving defensemen like Kristolainen. Hopefully Stan can accommodate some improvisation so that Bouchard doesn't have to play 30 minutes a game. Can Struddy play right D? Well, yeah, Struddy can play right D. He can play left D. He can play forward when called upon. But that's not going to happen.
Take a penalty shot in a clutch.
Run a goalie.
No problem.
Host a TV show. Host a radio show. Struddy's a man of many talents, so I think he could if called upon. But yeah, I mean, it's so interesting. Like I say this now, and maybe I just short-term memory, and I'm not thinking too well. But I can't recall, things that have happened with the Edmonton Oilers, and it's been so divisive right down the middle, or so split, so polarizing potentially, because so many people are like, it's not that big a deal. The team is fine. We got another group of texters saying it is a big deal. The Oilers are in trouble. Like they seriously need to address this defense. I think the defense could be okay. I do think it's better, or not as good as it used to be, but I still think it could get by, and we're going to have to wait and see how these players really pan out and what moves might be happening, but could just be short memory here.
The Vibometer is crazy. Remember Jeff Jackson is GM?
Yeah.
Crazy high. Oilers Twitter united as it's ever been on anything. Signing a Stan Bowman, crazy low. Everybody's like, everything's on fire. And then this happens and you lose these 3 roster players and everything's on fire.
If you were to go back, and with Jeff Jackson, all the signings and things that he made, maybe should we have seen this coming? Like, hey, we're thrilled right now, but there's some RFAs on your team you need to sign. Like, did we get pumped too early? Was the moves that Jeff Jackson made, should we have been questioning them a little bit?
This is the fun of it all, though, Connor. This is why we love sports. We overreact. It's the middle of summer. It's a beautiful day. We're thinking about hockey. This is the way it's supposed to be.
Well, in hindsight, you probably wish you could have kept a little bit more money for the Oilers, but we'd have to go back a long way. There's the Darnell Nurse contract. There's dead cap with James Neal and Jack Campbell. There's the Corey Perry deal. There's a few others you could probably look at and say, could they have handled that better? Hindsight's 2020. It always is, but maybe things could have been done differently. The fact is the Oilers are where they are. This is their defense core. They lose 2 young players that I think they had high hopes for, and they'll have to try to look for that Stanley Cup, the elusive Stanley Cup without those 2 players going forward. And I think we'll probably see, just my guess, a motivated Oilers team when the St. Louis Blues come to town.
Point night.
I think we're going to get some boos. The players that did nothing, but Armstrong will be in the building. I think the team's going to get booed more than they typically would.
They won't boo Holloway, though, and Broberg.
They might. Oh, I guarantee that. I guarantee some will.
You think?
Because some people said you should have stayed here for a chance to win.
Oh my goodness.
So I think those 2 will get booed a little bit. I can't wait till we have the debate. Highlight video.
I can't wait for the Phil Broberg highlight video. It's going to be hours long.
Rob in St. Albert says defense is trouble, but Broberg isn't going to help it. Nurse stinks. He's supposed to be the number 1 with the contract. Yeah, it is what it is. There's nothing we can do about it. He ain't going anywhere. Matt says, definitely booing. Yeah, I think there's a good group of Oilers fans out there that look at this and say, you didn't have to sign that offer sheet. I still think that Dylan Holloway's camp thought they'd be matched. The Philip Broberg camp probably didn't care. They're getting paid wherever they end up. More opportunity in St. Louis. Iron says, we should not be worried. Management should have looked after this long ago. I'm with you. The report for Broberg was 2 years, 1 by 1 million. That was a dumb way to say it. 2 years, 1.1 million. That's not that much in comparison to what he got. Maybe his agent knew that. Hold off. See what happens. People are crazy. Obviously, if JJ was living in the reality of post-offer sheets, he probably would have kept Vinny. Forget this hindsight BS. They've handled offer sheets fantastically. Have us under the cap and now finally have us in a position to bring in substantial defensemen at or before the deadline. That will be better, more proven player than Broberg. No one jump off a cliff. Phil, you bring up some good points. I'm still waiting on these defensemen. For those of you who say they can bring in a defenseman at the blue line, give me a name or two. Like, who are you thinking? Because young Donovan and I went through the list of UFAs after this season and the next season, and there wasn't too much there. There are some nice players. One that was brought up during Fantasy Frenzy was Condre Miller. Well, the Rangers probably not trading him away. Teams that are contending aren't likely to move on from their guys at the deadline. So if you are of that thought that the Oilers have the chance now, with the accrued cap to make up $4.4 million, they have the second and third. They've got not the first because they did that swap, obviously, to make the selection at this past draft. But let me know, who do you think would be someone that could be a defenseman that you could pick up? Cam says, could be a Dion term. Well, again, give me a name. Who is it? UFA is just kind of the guys we go with because teams tend to be more willing to part ways. But forget I even said that. Give me a defenseman that you think would be available at the deadline. The Oilers can use that $4.4-ish million on. I'm all ears. I want to hear suggestions. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'd just like to know who we're thinking of. You got anyone, Wanye?
I can't come up with anybody.
Donovan in the back. You got anyone? He's shaking his head.
It's not former Oiler. It's not former Oilers.
Cody Ceci.
It's not Barry. It's not Jolts.
Mike says Doughty. I guess if you were to get them to retain half the salary, Drew Doughty would be pretty good. Steven Drumheller says he does wish the two players well, but he is booing. Robbie Moe says, I think it's time we all stop. This was the prudent decision to not match those silly offer sheets. Hard to blame the players who have a short window to maximize the return during their career. This is the new reality. The Oilers are going to have a core group. The rest will come and go. Robbie Moe, great point. I think back to the teams of Chicago, Pittsburgh, even the LA Kings. You had that core group and the surrounding pieces came and went. They drafted well so those players could jump in, but free agency is also going to be a tool. Robbie, I really like that text. Gord Oil says more than being booed, they might be targeted by some players. Gord Oil, that'd be interesting. I don't know. It could happen. Obviously, you want to win the game. You don't want to do anything stupid, but it could happen. Big Baby Davis says, I think the fans for sure need to boo them, but they made the right call for themselves to sign those deals. I think Emerson will be excellent, known as a defensive specialist, and almost had as many NHL points as Broberg in 30 compared to 81 games. Lots of cap space will be accrued to add whoever throughout the year. Yeah, about $4 million. Rasmus Anderson from Red Deer, I don't think the Flames will do it. They could. We saw it going back to last year. But I just don't think the Flames will do it. Please send us your name, though. Appreciate the text. Mario Lemieux. Ooh.
Now we're getting somewhere.
Now that's the outside the box thinking. Adam Larson from Danny T. Yeah, that name's come in a few times. We obviously know the reason why he left Edmonton. Just kind of the bad memories. Would he be willing to come here on a short-term basis? Maybe. Some familiarity. Dave says, why trade Ceci if you were not matching offers? Has to be something else cooking. I want to wait and see. That's it. Is there something else cooking? Not exactly sure. Bones says Stetcher and Emerson replace Ceci and Desharnais. Doesn't look like an upgrade, but I'll give it 30 games. Bones, great text. Totally agree with you. I'm part of that wait and see. We can't increase Ekholm's minutes, and he's more likely to get injured at the age of 33. At his age and playing 33 minutes a game, we needed to match Broberg to get a good second pairing. Chomskers, kind of with you there. I thought with the defensive side, the way things were going, you want to lock in some of those players. Decision wasn't made. Darthu says Savard. That's another name to come in, but we're not getting too many suggestions for deadline pickups for the Edmonton Oilers. We did have a lot of people saying they should do that, but when it comes to getting names, we aren't quite there. Steve from Drum, Heller. Hard for us to say who the team is able to get as we don't have the inside scoop. We didn't know Ekholm was available either, right? Steve, very good point. Very good point. Manib says, why are we acting like Broberg and Holloway move the needle for us in any direction? They are role players that got paid. If you want to boo Oilers management and not the players. I think there's going to be a few people going after Oilers management, especially on social media. Tougher to boo them at a game. Robbie Moe says, our offensive group is better at the end of the day last season. Period. Not matching. That gave us the flexibility to do something on the backside, noticeably the right side of the backside. Pat and Chilliwack says Adam Larson. Mike says, bringing up Mario Lemieux. Lemieux was a player who didn't get paid, got the team instead. I know Drew Doughty would be a pipe dream, but he'd be ideal as a number 2 right shot to make a run at the cup. LA is on the downswing. And if they were coming out of the running, maybe there's a team with retention to get involved. I don't know. Is LA on the downswing? I mean, you look in the Pacific Division. Potentially, I got to think the Canucks hang around. Is Vegas going to bounce back? The Oilers should be right in there. Maybe the Kings slide into that wild card spot. Cal says Ristolainen from Philly. They might be sellers. Montana to Rice says you have to play games and find out who are sellers before you find the names to bring in. That's a good point. But we're living in a dream world here. A hypothetical. Who are the names you want to see? If Pittsburgh falls apart, would you get Carlson or Letang with retention?
Yeah, now we're talking some crazy ideas. I like this.
Now we're going for it.
Carlson, 90% retained by Pittsburgh for reasons we won't get into.
90%?
Yes.
We're changing the game?
We're changing the game.
I feel like Letang's probably a lifer in Pittsburgh, but maybe he'd move on his way out.
I can't see
What
that.
about Sidney Crosby?
Well, I read an article that said the silence on his contract is deafening. Deafening, Connor.
Gregor's brought it up a few times. It is interesting. Like, everyone still loves Ray Bourque in Boston.
I don't think if Sidney Crosby left Pittsburgh at this stage of his career, it would diminish his legacy in Pittsburgh.
Not at all. And to go to a contender, it'd be weird to see. Like, when's the last time we saw a really great hockey player make that move? Because the generational talents, for the most part, have really hunkered down. Patty Kane was very good. I guess he left.
Yeah, that's fair.
Joe Thornton bounced around a little bit, went to Toronto. Patty Marleau went to Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I mean, Jerome McGinley did a little bit of a tour there at the end. But none of those people are Sidney Crosby.
Sid and Connor would have to come into contact with each other like Steph Curry and LeBron did at the Olympics. Now everyone's thinking he'll go to the Lakers.
Four Nation Showdown or whatever they're calling it.
Maybe, you never know. A one-timer scores. He says, hey, Sid, you never know.
Grinder says, how about Cam Fowler? Yeah. I mean, hey, that's the type of thinking I like. The Ducks are going to be out of it, right?
They're out.
They're out and the season hasn't even started. Braden says, Oilers trade a third for CC, 50% retained at the deadline.
This is the last stage of a player being an Oiler. We think about the way for him to come back.
Brian says, bottom line is it's not how you start, but how you finish. Lots can happen during the season, so don't already jump off the bandwagon. I have full confidence and still predict the Oilers own the cup for the next 3 years. Go Oilers, go. I like how we're going to end the segment with that one. Some positivity. They're still going to own the cup for the next 3 years. From Brian. Any names that pop out to you, please let us know. 1-833-401-1440. There's no bad names. I'm not going to totally rip on anyone, but instead just kind of imagine, what if it were to happen? It'd be cool to see. Hey, maybe the Oilers are just good as is and they don't need to do anything. They're just set. They're ready to go. They're going to play good team defense and take it all. Radko Gudas, I believe, is on an expiring deal, earning $2 million a year. Would be good for a second or third pairing from the Ducks. Radko Gudas had said things about not wanting to play in Canada, but on a chance to win a cup, who knows? Maybe his mind changes. We'll take a break here. When we come back, former NHLer Jason Strudwick will join us. It's the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
A premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development is proud to be entering its 8th season of independent borderless hockey, featuring provincial and cross-province competition with showcase style, regular season gameplay, and a strong commitment to individual skill development. It's an attractive option for those seeking family life balance. The Hockey Super League offers opportunities for both male and female athletes born between 2011 and 2016. Visit hockeysuperleague.com for more information.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at cantork.com.
Bacon or sausage and egg McMuffin? It's a delicious dilemma. But what if you didn't have to choose? The Mighty McMuffin is back with bacon and sausage. Mighty McMuffin, mighty impressive. For a limited time at participating McDonald's in Canada.
Get a great night's sleep during the final weekend of the Brick Summer Sleep event. Take up to 50% off mattresses and up to $1,200 off sleeper sectionals. And buy more, save more. Up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Plus, shop amazing deals in other departments, like up to 20% off outdoor furniture and 25% off home entertainment furniture and fireplace. You won't want to sleep through these fantastic prices. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
For over 65 years, Denham Ford has delivered the customer service and value that keeps Albertans moving. And nothing moves Albertans better than Canada's best-selling truck, the Ford F-150. Here now with rates as low as 0% or savings up to $17,000. That's the value you've come to expect from where cars always cost less. 0% or $17,000 off F-150s. Only at Denham Ford in Wetaskiwin or at denhamford.ca.
Here's Dr. Vance Elliott to talk about Advanced Hair and Skin Surgery's new website.
We needed to spruce things up a bit and give it a modern look.
Sounds like your website needed a little surgery.
Exactly. It's easier to navigate, much more user-friendly, has an updated patient gallery, and answers to the most commonly asked questions.
There's even a section about you.
I want you to know my story, so you'll be confident that I'm the right doctor to help shape your story.
To learn more, check out the new website at drvanceelliott.com.
Alberta.ca. Get your Lotto Max ticket tonight. The draw goes, I want to say 8 o'clock, but make sure you get it as soon as possible, or just log in, playalberta.ca. They got it all there for you. 70 mil and 44 max millions. Connor Halley won. Congrats. We got Declan Kruger on the board and Donovan Paulson keeping us going here on our digital streams. Hello to everyone watching on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram. Appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button. And with that, we'll go to our next guest here. We're joined now by Jason Strudwick. This segment brought to you by Action Electrical. They're the most diversified electrical contractor in Alberta with 4 divisions in project, service, tech, and solar for commercial or residential. Contact them today at actionelectrical.net. Struddy, how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm worried. What does Wanye look like? Does he still have short arms? Because it always felt like maybe he's about 4 or 5 inches short of a full-length sleeve.
Sir, how dare you? We had that doctor on the show early on, and he affirmed they were mostly moderately normal length.
Like an Ewok. Your arms will look short on an Ewok.
Good heavens. Struddy, before we get to dissecting the team, I wanted to congratulate you for your job on Spit and Chicklets. I watched it from beginning to end. You did a really good job.
Yeah, thanks. You know what? Those guys are good. I mean, just like Gregor and you guys are all really, really easy to talk to. And, I was able to talk a little bit about the fertility challenges. And I think that it's pretty important for us to, as males, to talk about it, right? And not everyone has the issues, but my wife and I did. And I've had about probably half dozen guys reach out, want to talk about it. So it's an important message to get out there, and those guys are happy to share it.
Fantastic. Some of the stories that you were telling, obviously you've got a lot in the book, but there are some gutters out there that were, well, some you'd saved. I hadn't heard some of them before. You must have a secret book that's filled with stories somewhere.
Well, I've always said you can't let the truth stand in the way of a good story. So you start bending the truth and making things up. And, I think I was there. Was it me or me with somebody else? But you got to let people know.
My favorite thing about working with you for all those years, Struddy, was just the casual, like, oh, yeah, I was on TRL once with Carson Daly. Oh, I once started the New York Stock Exchange. Just like the random things you've done in your life. The book would be good.
Yeah, I'm like Forrest Gump. Right, I've kind of been. I was never the main attraction, but I was always around people that were.
Struddy the Gump joining us here on Jason Gregor Show. Well, let's talk a little bit about the hockey and what's going on in the world with the Edmonton Oilers. Of course, the news today, Struds, this morning, Philip Broberg getting a great payday from the St. Louis Blues, $4.5 million. Dylan Holloway going to be going there as well, as the Oilers decide not to match the offer sheets. They do get a couple third-round picks, a prospect, and a second-rounder. Were you surprised at all that the Edmonton Oilers let both of these players walk?
Well, I think it's the salaries, right? And here's Stan Bowman talk about his availability. The salaries were the issue, and that's a challenge. So happy for those players. Like, I always want players to make as much as they can. For Dylan Holloway, it's not like a massive jump, right? He was going to probably be 1.5, so he gets, I don't know, maybe an extra $1 million or just under $1 million more. But for Broberg, I hope that his agent kind of talked him through what it's going to be, because he is now making well above what I think his salary should be. Now he may play into this in 2 years, but when you're at $4.5 million, that's 20 minutes a night, that's 30, 40 points. That's expectation, and that's what he's got to deliver. So he's got to find a way, with only a pretty small resume in the NHL, to really be that guy. And I hope it does, because I really like him. I love the way he skates and plays, but he's got to become that guy. That's going to be the challenge. So we'll see what happens for him. And then for the Oilers, that's a lot of good players that have walked out the door. Two good young players that walked out the door. They got to find a way to replace that. Obviously, they didn't do it in short order, just with some of the trades they made. And they hope maybe the guy from the Russian from Vancouver can help them out. But I think that it's not good to have talent drained from your team. And it makes it harder for the Oilers. I still think in many ways they're better than the team went to Game 7 of the finals, but you're now looking for a defenseman. There is no doubt in my mind you're looking for another guy to play with Darnell Nurse.
Struddy, you kind of touched on it briefly there, but maybe you can speak to the attitude athletes have when something like this happens towards somebody who suddenly got a big raise. You'd said you wanted to see all players kind of maximize their pay. We had some folks texting in suggesting that Oilers would be beefing with Holloway and Broberg for signing these massive deals. What do players feel when other players get an unexpected contract?
No, never. I never felt that way when a guy's got a big deal. Like, they've earned it, right? And if not, you hope that someday someone says that about you, that you've earned this big contract. So I don't know. I mean, I can't speak for the guys in the room, but I just don't know. I know whenever guys got a in-season extension or a summer extension, I was like, good for you. Like, now you're a part of our team. We need you to help us, and let's go and try to be better. So no, I don't think that there'll be any animosity. Those are on the other team. The fans might be different, and I've seen a lot of comments where people, oh, these guys are bailing on us. They didn't want to be here. I'll tell you what, if you work at Firm A and across the street, they ask to, double or triple or quadruple your salary, you're skipping across that street, not even thinking twice to move on to Firm B. And that's the way it works, not just in hockey, but in life.
I'm not even taking a plant off my desk at Firm A when I go to Firm B. I'm just going across the street and say, I'm rich. I'll buy everything new at Firm B.
Yeah. No, it's true. And so, guys, they understand it. That's the world. Like, that's the hockey world. That's how you have to kind of look at it. And they're, like I said, now they're moving to a new team. It's probably not as good as what the Oilers will be this year. The Blues have some pretty good young, talented players, and there'll be opportunity for those guys to play. But now your role is bigger than it's thought.
Struddy, what are your thoughts on Cody Cece's time as an Oiler now that he took a beating from some segments of the fan base? What's your legacy of Cody Cece when you look back on his time in Edmonton?
I don't think I have to say it. When it comes November 15th, and the people that were chirping will say, man, we could sure use Cody Cece here. That's when we'll know that his legacy. He was a steady, solid, hardworking guy that came every day to the rink, obviously beloved by his teammates. And I think now like he was. I don't think he was ideal partner for Darnell Nurse. I think he'd be better with a guy that can maybe move the puck a little bit more. And then Cody, not that Cody was bad. I mean, think of Game 7, that great pass he made. But I still think you want to have a different type of player with him. That being said, I believe he at least met and I think exceeded what his salary was at $3.5 million. You know, we got a lot out of Cody Ceci here as an Oilers fan base. And I think that he's a guy that will go to San Jose. They're going to flip him again. They'll probably get a second for him at least at the trade deadline. So they get a third and a second for, $3 million to Cody Ceci.
Jason Strudwick, former NHLer, co-host of the Got Your Back podcast, joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz with you here, Struddy. Now, looking at the Edmonton Oilers back end here, now there's some questions. Cody Ceci's gone, Philip Broberg as well. I think most people would say you got Matthias Ekholm and Evan Bouchard. Pretty solid pairing there. Darnell Nurse. And then we fill in the blank. Is it Brett Kulak? Does he slide over? Do you go with maybe Ty Emberson? Then you have Kulak maybe playing the third pairing along with Troy Stetcher. I mean, I don't know if this is a group you're counting on to go deep on a playoff run, if you're going to look to add, but with the players they have available, what do you make of the defensive core here?
Well, okay, number one, they have 3 or 4 guys, right? Kulak, Nurse, Ekholm, and Bouchard. That's kind of a good start, right? Mm-hmm. A really good start to a D core. Now they got to fill out the rest. So there's opportunity for guys in that third pair, but I truly believe that the place the second right D spot, that's wide open. Right? And I don't know who that is. I think we'll see that player at game 83. They're going to make a trade, and we'll know who it is to fit in. But there's huge opportunities. All the young guys, or Stetcher, I guess an older player, they can work away in there. I have a hard time seeing Josh Brown playing beside Darnell Nurse for extended periods of time. So there's other guys in there. There's people like Tyson Barrie and some others that may be floating around. Does that make sense? Maybe. They'd have to understand that their role isn't going to be quite what it had been early in their career. But there is a hole in that second right spot on the defense, and I would have tried to upgrade it even if Cody Ceci was still here. So I think there maybe is an opportunity there to move Ceci money out early. Yeah, they're going to be short stacked for a little bit here, but they now have some more assets as far as draft capital. They have, maybe some people can hold that down, and then a deep forward group that should be able to carry the pace for the team for quite a bit.
Question for you, Struddy. You played in the AHL. Now, we saw that Ty Emberson was voted by the PHP as the best shutdown defenseman in the Eastern Conference in the AHL. Does that translate to the NHL? Like, in terms of just being a solid shutdown defenseman, obviously we know he's young and he's still developing, but how much stock do you put into being voted the best shutdown defenseman in the AHL Eastern Conference a couple of years ago?
Well, it's the same type of tactics and plays you're going to make, right? Good body positioning, anticipating. But let's be honest. I mean, it's the level of play is way higher in the NHL from the top end players. So, it's a great start. And he can build off that. By all reports, he had a pretty good year last year in those 30 games before he couldn't play anymore. But I'm interested to see what he can do. Right, I really want to see how he can play, what kind of type of a player he can be. Some are saying it'll be the same as Ceci. I think that might be a little bit optimistic, just based on this will be his 31st game, the first game of the year this year. Mm-hmm. But if he can grow into that, it'll end up being a good trade, and being a third pairing defenseman on a reasonable deal would be good. Although I see he's one of those special UF6s, or UFA 6s, whatever, code 6 or something. I think that if he doesn't play enough games this year, he'll be unrestricted. So that's something to look forward to next year, Oilers fans. But like I said, there's opportunity, and that's all you can ask for as a young player is opportunity. But make no mistake about it, there will be a new player in there at some point on that back end.
Now, just because we had talked about that, maybe it's at the trade deadline. I had asked some people to send in who they think might be someone to look at. We had a Matt Dumbo. We had Fowler coming in from Anaheim. Gudas as well. Like, is there anyone you can think of that would be a good fit potentially for the Oilers look to acquire at the deadline?
Yeah, so a Cam Fowler type, I'd like that because he can skate and move the puck. And I think that is kind of what they want, although at least from Holland, they want a bigger D-man. Mm-hmm. Fowler doesn't really match that. But listen, they have the assets, and more importantly, they have some cap space that they can play with. If they had matched those guys, although the talent wouldn't have been there, maybe Broberg could have been that guy. they've been fighting the cap all the time. So this gives them the flexibility. I know it's not ideal, but that's one, I guess it's a nice, not a bonus, but one good thing came out of a pretty tough spot.
Jason Strudwick, former NHLer, joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Struddy, let's turn our attention to the Edmonton Elks, winners of 3 straight now. Last time you were on the show, I think we talked a little bit about potentially Elkman making his way back to a couple games here, really giving the boys in the crowd what they need to thrive. Now you got the Montreal Alouettes on the schedule, 9-1 on the season. I guess probably we'd all have to say top team in the league with what they've been able to do. Just want to get your thoughts on the Elks probably feeling about as good as they can going into this one on Sunday.
Well, I mean, it's been a tough stretch, for a number of years for that organization. And I always feel badly when teams are just getting pounded and losing all the time. And I guess they haven't even getting pounded all year, but when you're losing, it just feels like the sun never rises. So they've got a few wins under their belt. I watched the whole game the other day. They seem to have energy. There's guys coming in that maybe are unexpected that are creating some excitement for the group. Hopefully Trey can get back, although, McLeod's done a pretty good job there. But, positive momentum is a good thing. Now you're taking on a pretty good team, but maybe you're up to it. Let's see what we can do. And we're actually playing better, and there's some positive energy around the group. What is it? Jarius seems to have them going and feeling good about themselves. So this group needs positive energy because, Connor, we've talked a long time. It's been a long time since we've been having much positive to say about that organization.
Struddy, my last question for you. Although I'd love to keep this conversation going on for a little longer, it is International Hawaiian Pizza Day. Are you a fan of pineapple on pizza?
Oh, I mean, anyone who doesn't is just absolutely incorrect, right? I mean, it's such a natural thing to have on there. And I argue with my kids all the time about what the right course of action is. And pineapple on pizza is as natural as you can be. And just like cream cheese on a bagel or honey and tea, right? It's a natural order of life. Like
Who got to
Wanya
you?
has short arms.
Who got to you, Struddy? The pineapple people? They pay you? The big pineapple companies pay you to talk like this?
No, so you know what? This I think there's actually a racket with the avocado people because avocados and the quote unquote healthy fat. I don't get that. I do not get that racket. Hawaiian pizzas, I get that. I'm all in for it.
Hawaiian pizza is like banana bread with chocolate chips to me, Struddy.
A good thing?
Yeah. No,
yeah, it's positive.
It ruins it. It ruins it. You can't even call
God.
it pizza anymore.
You've lost your credibility. All your food takes are now non-credible.
No, they were non-credible for a long time. Struddy, thanks for doing this, and we will talk to you next week. Gregor will be back.
Yeah, looking forward to it, guys. See you later.
See you, Struddy. There you go. Jason Strudwick, noted pineapple on pizza fan, but also says chocolate chips in banana bread. It's no longer banana bread. It's a new entity. It's a hot take.
It's an interesting take on avocados that he's got. I don't hear a lot of people beefing with avocados.
Good fats.
Wouldn't a vegetable provide good fat? I didn't want to say anything. I was taking a beating on my arm length, which I assure everybody is normal.
Now that he says it.
It's because Strudwick has such long arms. One time we compared arms because he's very tall. I'm reasonably tall. But Strudwick has like minute ball arms. He's like, you're a pretty tall guy. Let's look at our wingspan. I was like, not like you, Struddy.
Struddy noticed his arms.
It's because his are pythonic.
In the old building, he once called out Declan's arms in like a staff meeting. There was like 30 people there. Declan's just there writing notes, and Struddy was just like asked if Declan was showing off his arms or something.
I'm starting to think Struddy's a serial arm analyzer, Declan.
Best compliment I've ever gotten by far. I couldn't contain myself. He said pythons. He was glazing me up and down the room. It was awesome.
So sorry, he complimented your arms?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get that.
Yeah.
Well, I think he was pointing out Declan's sleeve length really accentuated.
That's actually what it was. The tight shirts.
Yeah.
The tight shirts. Yeah.
What a weirdo.
The thing Struddy notices.
Everything.
But he says, hey, can't fault the players for taking the money.
This is something that I think
players won't.
People need to think about when they're like accusing thinking about booing Broberg and Holloway. Players want to see players get paid. There's no beef.
More money. Good for the salary cap. Let's raise it up.
Let's get it up.
We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll get to 5 questions brought to you by The Brick. That's coming up next here on the Jason Gregor Show. You're watching on Oilers Nation YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X, and also listening on Sports 1440, coming to you live from the EWell Studios. The show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Rule number 37. Elk Island mosquitoes don't believe in personal space. Keep bug spray ready at all times. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to call Legacy. Call Legacy for comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you. Call Legacy. Call Legacy for comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
The summer road lays ahead. Your potential destinations are endless. Volvo Cars Edmonton gives you choice to match. Right now, lease a 2024 Volvo XC90 from 0% for qualifying loyal customers. Or save $7,000 on all new 2024 XC60 recharge plug-in hybrid models. All demo vehicles come with a free 10-year, 1 million kilometer warranty. No matter what you decide this summer will become, your first choice is Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
You wanted local sports on weekends. Saturday mornings at 9, check out the Saturday Sports Setup, where we'll tee up what's happening on the weekend sports scene. Tune in Saturday morning at 9 on Sports 1440.
Does your bank do local? We do. When you bank with Vision Credit Union, you're banking with a rural Albertan cooperative that cares about the community where you live. There's no question. We actively support our rural communities at the local level through charitable donations, volunteerism, local team and event sponsorships, and by returning millions in profit shares to our members every year. Does your bank do that? We do local. Bank with Vision Credit Union. VisionCU.ca.
And you're watching on Oilers Nation YouTube, Facebook, X, and Sports 1440's Instagram page. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz with you here from the Ewell Studios in West Edmonton Mall. Still to come on the show, Mark Spector will join us at the top of the hour. Also, we will head out to Detroit City, talk a little bit about the Lions with Dan Miller, the play-by-play for the Detroit Lions as we continue our look around the NFL. I got to say, the text line does love pineapple pizza from various different places, but mostly Papa John's. A lot of people saying you got to try the Papa John's pineapple pizza. I'll go with the Shaq-a-Roni when it's available. Or
pardon me,
the Shaq-a-Roni.
What's that?
It's a pepperoni pizza.
Shaq-sized?
Shaq-sized.
Is Shaq involved?
Yeah.
Huh.
I hope so. I think he's like a spokesperson.
That's better than the Flava Flav meal at Red Lobster that they're promoting. Because my friend went there and he goes, "Can I have the Flava Flav meal?" And they go, "Oh, we don't do that here." And he goes, "But this is Red Lobster." And I saw the ad on TV. And they said, "Yeah."
It's an
and then
American
nothing
thing?
happened. I don't know. If Flava Flav wants me to get a special off-menu dish at Red Lobster, I'm going to do what Flava Flav says.
I respect it. Flava Flav.
Remember the Travis Scott combo? Remember that?
No.
It was like Sprite and fries. And they're like, whoa, what an innovation. Still delicious, though. Love McDonald's. Don't get me wrong.
But yeah, Papa John's, code word Gregor, 20% off all day, every day.
That's a pretty good deal.
It is. CJEDM, Shaq-a-Roni is unreal. Pepperoni pizza is worse than redacted.
Wow.
I don't want to bring up that name on the show. Let's get to 5 questions brought to you by The Brick. The 4-day summer sleep event is on now. Up to 40% off select pillows, fabric beds starting at just $199. Up to 50% off mattresses and up to $1,200 off sectionals. Wow. Now at The Brick and thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, time for 5 questions. Before we get going on it, though, one that came down when we were talking about defensemen from Bradley Kanish. What about John Klingberg?
Maybe.
Made the point that
Not as... Sorry?
No, just he made the point that he was recovering from the same surgery as Kane, should be good by October. You know,
he tried to cash in a year ago, right? A couple years ago. I don't know.
I mean, cash in,
make money, get a big deal. Don't think it happened.
Oh,
I'm gonna say maybe.
It's faint praise.
I'm always trying to cash in. That wasn't one of the questions, though. Question number 1. The Oil did not match the offer sheets on either Bro or Holloway. In case this is your first time tuning in today, obviously covered very well. So very basic. On a scale of 1 to 10, how surprised are you?
I would say I was pretty surprised, pretty dang surprised. If you would have asked me this on like Wednesday of last week, I'd probably be around an 8.5 because it dropped a little bit just because all the insiders were reporting that it was likely that both were going to be walking the closer we got to the event. But at my peak, I would have been 8.5. I certainly thought that the Oilers would make sure they kept at least one of them.
I would tend to agree. I mean, they made the space, right? They got rid of Ceci. They did what they needed to do. I'd put it around an 8 as well.
Question number 2. What are your expectations for Ty Emberson this season?
I don't think I know enough yet for which pairing he'll end up on, but I hope he stays in the league the entire season and it contributes positively towards the team's defense.
Yeah, I mean, expectations, I'm gonna try to temper them. Not think he's gonna come in here and be the second coming of the best shutdown defenseman of all time. Who knows? Whoever you think it might be. Like I think game to game basis coming here, just hope he's not noticeable for a guy who is known as a shutdown guy, plays defensive role very strongly. I don't want to hear his name. If I don't hear his name, then I know he's done his job and he hasn't been scored on and hasn't had any major gaffes. So I'll say very low. If you were to ask me like out of 10, like the previous question, my expectations hovering about a 5. Just wanted to be a good, solid defenseman. I'm not going to expect too much offensively, although he did have 10 points in 30 games last year with the Sharks. Maybe there's a little offensive upside there playing, in a role where you just flick it up to Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl. But very low expectations, high hopes.
Question number 3. Of all the Oilers additions this offseason, who will do the best in respect to their current role / expectations?
Connor McDavid.
Ooh. Well, hold on. I said of all the Oilers additions.
Oh, additions. Oh, my apologies.
Well done. You looked for a loophole, counselor.
That's a Wanye Gretz play.
I didn't read. I was not trying for a loophole. Jeff Skinner. I think that Jeff Skinner is going to be a guy who comes in here. He's just going to be counted on to put the puck in the back of the net. It's all he's done in his career. Has he been, the best goal scorer in the league? No, but 30 goals, give or take, 25 to 30. I mean, I think he's finally, well, I shouldn't say finally, but he's going to play with some of the best talent he's ever had. A chance to go to the playoffs. He's going to be motivated, wants to get there. So I'm going to say Jeff Skinner's going to come in and do exactly what he's done his whole career. Put the puck in the net and look good doing it.
At the risk of agreeing with you, Connor, I think so. I think you're right with Skinner. I think seeing Zach Hyman come to Edmonton from Toronto, hadn't had a hat trick, right? Got here. What do you have, 5 last season? Some people come to Edmonton and are able to shake off the shackles of their career and really perform. I feel like Skinner, what's it, like 1,100 games without being in the playoffs or some crazy number?
Never played a game in the playoffs.
So
you know how amped up Jeff Skinner's going to be for the first round of the playoffs? Like, this is going to be wild. I think he's going to have a great year.
Question number 4. Of all the Oilers' departures, who will thrive the most with their new team? Again, in respect to their current role / expectations.
You got to think Broberg now. I mean, Struddy mentioned it. For that kind of money, they're going to expect how many minutes a night, he said?
20?
That's like a lot of ice time, man. So I think Broberg, given his pay scale and the fact that St. Louis, the cupboard's kind of bare, I think he'll have a big role and hopefully do well.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of guys like McLeod will be okay in Buffalo. Fogle, we'll see down in LA. But I'm going to lean towards Dylan Holloway. I think he's got some upside. Chance, maybe we'll see who he plays with, whether it's Buchnevich, maybe he jumps up to Robert Thomas in a pinch. Jake Neighbor slides down. However you want to work it out. I think Dylan Holloway's going to do pretty good in St. Louis and maybe start of a very good career. So I've the flashes we saw from him were great. He's just got to find a way to do that a little bit more consistently. If he does that, he's going to be a very good NHLer. So I'm going Dylan Holloway.
And question number 5, as has become customary with the three of us, who is on your Mount Rushmore of TV characters you'd want to hang out with?
Ooh, this is a good one, Declan. And I'm going to, at the risk of dividing the room and seeming controversial, I'm going to expose my real nerdity here. I really, as a child, loved Star Trek The Next Generation. And I used to think how cool it would be to be on the Enterprise with Worf, Picard, Dr. Crusher, her son, Wesley Crusher, all these people. So my Mount Rushmore is just going to be Star Trek The Next Generation heads.
Hanging out with them?
Hanging out with them.
How long am I hanging out with them for?
A Friday night.
All right. Okay.
In the future, Declan, we don't use days. We use star dates. So whatever.
What are star dates?
That's how we measure days in the future because we're not on Earth.
So like, what's the
numerically, like star date 23415. I'm in an away mission and on a planet, and all sorts of things are going down. Ooh, what are they getting into? I'd say.
So what's like the conversion rate to an Earth day? A present
I believe it's
Earth day.
Fictitious gibberish to a 12-month
Gregorian calendar.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm going to go with Andy Dwyer from Parks and Rec.
Oh, good pick.
Very goofy.
That's a good pick.
I'm going to go with Ronald McDonald from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Who's Ronald McDonald?
Which one's he?
That's Mac. His real name is Ronald McDonald.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
You find that out at the episode when they go back to their high school reunion. They're like, put on the name tag. He's like, nobody calls me that anyways.
Oh,
and
my
it's
God.
Ronald McDonald. Michael Scott, because it's one night. I think I could do one night with Michael Scott. And then going back a little bit retro here, Woody from Cheers.
Good pick.
It's going to be just a very laid back, fun night. I mean, Mac might get us into some trouble, but
that's it. I'm in a phaser battle with the bloody Borg in my scenario. We're on the edge of the space rim fighting for our lives, and you're hanging out with Michael Scott talking about paper?
Well, I don't think maybe we'd do some improv or something like that. Declan, what do you got?
I would do Jim from The Office because I think we'd get along well. He's kind of level-headed and funny guy, so like sports, so I think we'd get along. I would choose Omar from The Wire. I would do the redhead from Riverdale.
Archie Andrews?
No, the chick. I don't know what her name is.
Betty? Veronica?
Betty's blonde, Veronica's dark.
Yeah,
Connor,
she's
come
a
on.
redhead.
Well, I don't think...
I'll look it up. And then I would also do Madeline Klein from Outer Banks.
What's that?
That was that like teen show kind of that was like just horrible. One of the worst shows ever, but it came out right when COVID was hitting. So everyone was kind of just like forced to watch it. I never actually did, but I think it was just one of those terrible Netflix shows that hit it big because of the time it came out. But yeah, I'd choose those four. Omar's going to keep us in line.
Omar's going to get you in trouble.
No, he's going to be on his best behavior.
Who was the name, Declan? Madeleine Albright, former U.S. Secretary of State?
It was not her, although I love the reference. Madeline Klein is her name. I think her character's name is Sarah in the show. And then, yeah, the redhead. Let me look it
I'm
up.
just trying to think of the redheads from Archie because I didn't think they were redheads. I was just naming the female
cartoon.
characters. Midge.
Cheryl.
Oh, was she the rival?
This is TV show stuff, not the comic book.
She plays Cheryl Blossom.
Oh, she was a comic book character, I think.
Was she?
Hell yeah.
Wasn't Josie there too?
Oh, someone actually texted in a way better answer. I'm swapping out Jim from The Office and I'm chilling with Kenny Powers. 100%.
Good one.
100%.
Good answer. You could do this also like the worst characters to hang out with.
And Omar would be on that list.
And Omar would be on. I was thinking like one of the guys from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, like I love Walter White. I love Pinkman, but I'm not hanging out with them.
No
chance.
What about a zombie from Walking Dead? Would you hang out with them?
No, again, that would be on the bad list.
I wouldn't advise it. They'll bite you.
Wesley Crusher is a dork.
That was Will Wheaton, isn't it?
Was that Army Daryl? Oh, my nemesis. It's been an honor battling with you, Army Daryl, for 2 weeks, by the way. I'll miss you when this is over on Friday.
Army Daryl coming for the headshot. Sam Malone from Cheers, I do believe.
I didn't really watch Cheers. It was before my time.
Charlie from 2.5 Men.
Oh.
Well, you like a good time, Barney. And then also just says A-Team and Magnum PI.
Magnum PI would be cool.
Who's A-Team? Which character?
Well, it has to be Mr. T.
You got to go Mr. T. You know what the T stands for, Mr. Tangerine? It's Mr. Tangerine. I just answered my own question. Damn near sweared too.
He was close. We've got one here, just not related to it. Future prediction: Jeff Skinner won't leave dressing room for a first playoff game after having a panic attack. No way. He's going to be fired up. Ivan says, "Hey guys, a male shift with Newman. That'd be interesting." I found him quite irritating for the most part.
You guys got to think about hanging out with Star Trek people more. You'd be on a starship.
Yeah, but I don't want to be in space for one. Space scares the hell
Declan.
out of me. Also, this nonsense that space goes on for infinity, like let's drop that narrative. And I just think we like you talk about getting into trouble with Omar, like the Star Trek crew are going to get you into way worse, way scarier trouble.
We have a medical team on board. We have a shield to protect us.
But I'm just not equipped to deal with all that. You know what I mean? Like I'm so out of my element, it wouldn't be enjoyable for me.
So in your lifetime, Declan, if it's available to go to space, you're not going to go.
No, never. No chance. Space in the bottom of the ocean, count me out. Never, no. Wow. I can't say no enough.
I'm with them.
If Wanya Jr. comes to me one day, he says, Dad, I've enlisted in the Space Force and I'm going off to Jupiter to fight the sandworms. I'll never be prouder in my whole life, Declan. I'll say, you do it for Earth, boy.
Another big thing, like I kind of developed a fear of flying in the past couple of years. Like flew a lot as a kid, obviously flown as an adult, was always fine with it. But then the last couple of years, I've really kind of developed a fear of flying. So now you put me in space, like forget about it.
Because all those windows are blown out into open space.
Yeah, it's because Boeing is just making, like they're taking the scrap paper we have in this room and making airplanes. It's a joke.
75% of flights landing safely is a high number, Declan. There's nothing to worry about with those other 25%.
Listen, the odds are good, right? 3 out of 4, not bad. Like it to be a little higher.
If my window blows out in a mid-flight, I say, you're upgrading me next time. I'm not playing.
I can't even talk about this. I'm going to freak myself out.
We'll jump back to your question. Iron had said Barney from How I Met Your Mother, Gary the Teamster, Joey from Friends, or Barney. You know why. 2 certified ladies men.
Barney, the big purple dinosaur. Oh, from 2.
So they can just get the women while you don't? Like you just sit there and watch while they get the ladies?
Maybe you should bring Chandler too.
Yeah, you should take people who aren't ladies men. So like it makes you look better.
That's it. Maybe like, could you do cartoons as well?
You know what? I almost asked cartoons straight up instead of TV.
Because I would love to kick it with the King of the Hill boys. Just sit in the back alley, say, yup.
I just want to get this straight, Declan. You're rolling around with a bunch of zeros, so you look great in comparison. You're all scared to go to space?
Terrified to go to space. And also, I don't think those two really correlate.
Just facts.
Like that's like
you wouldn't last a second with me and the Enterprise crew rolling around. We'd snatch up all the girls and we'd blast off into space with them.
So you'd kidnap them?
No, they'd transport of their own free will.
Okay.
Not Fred says Ginger Grant, Chrissy and Rachel, and Kramer to make me look good, and Crotch. I love this one. TJ Detweiler from Recess. Now, is it grown up TJ, or are you a young kid hanging out with TJ? Because you can't be grown man hanging out with grade 4-year-old TJ Detweiler.
I would still hang out with TJ at my age now.
Oh, he's sick. He'd have a sick like little scheme. You'd be going after, I don't know, like the candy supply from Miss Finster. Did you watch Recess, Wanya? You're giving me a strange
I
look.
don't know any of the people you're referring to.
Oh, great show.
I'm just queuing up a
Great
young Sheldon joke in my brain when you're done. So you tell me when you're ready.
Go ahead.
You know who I wouldn't hang out with? Young Sheldon.
Yeah.
What a nerd.
None of those guys from Big Bang Theory.
The spinoff with the little kid.
Not that one either.
I saw it once against my will in a doctor's waiting office. I couldn't believe this is what they were putting on TV.
It's getting you ready. It won't be so bad if you watch an episode of this.
If Wanya Jr. wants to watch Young Sheldon, I'd be like, don't you have space to attend to? Why do we have to watch this garbage?
Matt, the promo guy, says Darth Vader would be awesome to hang with. He'd use the Force on you.
You can't really take Darth Vader anywhere, though. Everybody would just be like, what's that guy doing here? Breathing all loud, being all evil.
Crotch says, young kid TJ and young Crotch. We're making Miss Finster and Randall Weems' life a living hell. Yeah, that Randall. You got the Diggers involved. Upside Down Kid.
I know another show that'd be cool to hang with. Saved by the Bell Kids. Those guys were so cool. Zach Morris.
Yeah.
Cell phone. What?
Slater.
Woof.
Screech. What were the girls' names?
Lisa?
Kelly?
Oh, Kelly Kapowski. Are you kidding me right now?
Forget about it.
You wouldn't like her. She wants to go to space, Declan.
She's not your type. Let's take a break here. Maybe when we come back,
She is out of this world.
Ooh, quick. Maybe we'll ask Spec his, because we always like to ask Spec Declan's 5th question the last couple of weeks. Which fictional character would he like to hang out with, I wonder?
I feel like Spec's counting the days till Gregor's back.
Probably. Oh, well. Well, Crotch also says Lizzie McGuire signed Mike Comrie. Sparky says Al Bundy boys. He could tell you his old high school stories. Garrett's got Hank Moody from Californication, and Ivan says A Day with Larry and Leon.
It's crazy to me that the guy that plays Al Bundy is in that other show. What?
Modern Family.
Modern Family.
And yet he doesn't really look all that much older than Al Bundy, and Al Bundy was like 40 years ago.
That was like the point of Al Bundy, right? Just to look that weathered all the time.
He's looked like he's 50 for like 40 years.
Yeah.
He's also in that show about the LA Clippers with their owner.
Yeah, he plays Donald Sterling, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, the FX show.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if it's out yet or it's going to be out soon, but yeah, he's the star of it.
Would you hang out with Donald Sterling, Declan?
I'd leave right now.
On your
today.
Mount Rushmore?
I'd hang out with him in space.
Unbelievable. What? You break your rule?
Let's get to break. When we come back, we got Spec on the show. We're also going to talk to some Detroit Lions geniuses. Dan Miller covers the team, and well, he's a play-by-play. He sees everything to do with that team. So we'll talk to him about the rise of the team over the last few years and what fans can expect for the upcoming season as they look to win the NFC North Division crown. But first, a Sports 1440 update with Declan Kruger, brought to you by Booster Juice. You can visit a Booster Juice for the cookies and cream booster ball, the yummy little bundle of almond butter, maple syrup, coconut, and gluten-free cookies. Download the Booster Rewards app and order one today only at Booster Juice.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, the Edmonton Oilers have elected not to match the offer sheets from the St. Louis Blues on defenseman Philip Broberg and forward Dylan Holloway. Edmonton will be receiving a second-round pick back for Broberg and a third-round pick back for Holloway from the Blues as compensation. The Oilers have also acquired prospect defenseman Paul Fisher and a third-rounder in 2028 from the Blues for future considerations after not matching the offer sheets. The Seattle Kraken have signed forward Matty Beniers to a 7-year deal with an AAV of $7.14 million. And in the CFL, Chad Kelly will be the starting quarterback for the Toronto Argonauts when they host the Saskatchewan Roughriders on Thursday. MLB scores, 2 games in action right now. Diamondbacks leading the Marlins 1-0 in the middle of the second, and then the top of the second, it's the Rockies up on the Nationals by the same mark. Getting going right away here, we will see the Cincinnati Reds in Toronto to take on the Blue Jays. Jose Barrios on the mound in this one. 3 WNBA games in action. The LA Sparks lead the Connecticut Suns 7-5 with 7 minutes and 11 seconds left in the first quarter. The New York Liberty lead the Dallas Wings 7-6 with 6:40 left in the first quarter, and the Storm and Mystics tied at 5 with 8:16 left in the first quarter. In hour number 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and Dan Miller, Lions beat reporter. I'm Declan Kruger, and this has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to call Legacy. Call Legacy for comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you. Call Legacy. Call Legacy for comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
My utility bills are going through the roof. How can I take advantage of the sun and put my lazy roof to work?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Energy team reporting. When you're ready to make your home or business more efficient, Action Electrical has the power to install solar panel systems and EV chargers.
Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta with supercharged skills and strong family values. ActionElectrical.net.
Get a great night's sleep during the final weekend of the Brick Summer Sleep Event. Take up to 50% off mattresses, up to $1,200 off sleeper sectionals, and buy more, save more, up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Plus, shop amazing deals in other departments, like up to 20% off outdoor furniture and up to 25% off home entertainment furniture and fireplaces. You won't want to sleep through these fantastic prices. Some exclusions apply. See your store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com. Need a new AC, furnace, duct cleaning, or water treatment system? Save up to $2,500 on a complete system and get a 12-year parts and labor warranty with Modern Air and Water. Your Air Ease Pro dealer at modernairwater.com.
Bacon or sausage and egg McMuffin? It's a delicious dilemma. But what if you didn't have to choose? The Mighty McMuffin is back with bacon and sausage. Mighty McMuffin, mighty impressive. For a limited time at participating McDonald's in Canada.
Employee pricing is on now at Chevrolet. Right now, get up to $10,500 off select Silverado 1500 High Country Crew Cab models. With an available 6.2-liter V8 engine and standard Chevrolet safety assist, including forward collision alert, getting out of the city and having a nice, quiet day on the beach is easier than ever this season. So relaxing. Ask your Chevrolet advisor for details.
Halley. We've got Wanye Gretz, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson with you. The show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Use code word casino with a minimum $5 deposit. You'll get $50 to use at the casino, or code word summer, I believe. Sorry for that one. Also, it is Lotto Max tonight. 70 mil, 44 estimated max millions. You might want to go get your ticket. Could be a very good investment, or just do it at PlayAlberta.ca. Text line 1-833-401-1440. Declan asked the questions. Your Mount Rushmore of TV characters you'd like to hang out with. Chris says, guys, a night with Hank Moody would be a real train wreck. I believe that's from Californication.
Oh, that would be.
I haven't seen the show, but he's a philanderer.
Oh, he philanders.
Got a lot of female acquaintances.
Admirers.
Okay. Well, I guess that's why people are mentioning him.
Drives a Porsche with a busted out headlight. That's cool.
Very cool.
Doesn't want to fix it.
A safety hazard. Should get that fixed. Right now, why don't we get to the Spec Report, as we'll be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet, brought to you by GS Construction. They're still hiring. They're looking for laborers, pipe layers, pipe layer helpers, top men and women, lead hands, and water and sewer foremen. Go to Indeed.com and look up GS Construction. Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Spec, good evening. How are you doing today?
Doing great, boys. Another Mount Rushmore day, huh? You guys just never get tired of that, huh?
Every day we find a new one just to keep the conversation going. I mean, do you want to get that question out of the way first and foremost here? 4 TV show characters you get to hang out with. Do you have 4 you'd like to spend a night
4
with?
TV show characters. Man, you guys always surprise me in this. Well, I always wanted to hang out with Betty Rubble, if you know what I mean. How about that?
Oh, boy.
That's a good one. Are there 3 more or just Betty?
I think the Blues Brothers would have been a ton of fun to hang around with. Do
Oh,
they
yeah.
count as TV characters? I always kind of like their act.
Yeah, I'll count that. We'll count that as 1, so you can have 2 more if you want.
Yeah, that's right. Who else would I like to hang out in the TV world? Nobody in Seinfeld. I thought they were all idiots.
Gregor's not here. I'm going to hit a nerve.
I
with that
know.
one.
I'm hoping Gregor's listening when I say that. After that, I think I'll quit at 3. How about that?
Yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty good group there.
Nobody at Sportsnet on TV you'd like to hang out with, Spec? Nobody you'd take from the sporting world?
Yeah, I like hanging out with Kenny Reed whenever possible, for sure.
There we go.
Yeah, obviously, but they're not TV. Like, that doesn't, come on, they're not the real thing. They're actual people.
Coworkers.
We're talking about TV characters here.
Fair.
Yeah, there are a couple
Sometimes I wonder if Bob Stauffer is a real guy or just a character.
The Bob Father.
Yes.
Well, speaking of Bob and the team that he covers, let's talk about it. I guess if we were to go back a week ago when this happened, would you have thought that the Edmonton Oilers would have decided to let both of these players walk in, Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway?
Oh my God. The only time that I've had any peace and quiet about that whole thing, like my opinions just changed daily. Played the Sturgeon course yesterday. It was a beautiful day of golf on an awesome course. And the best part about it wasn't just the great course. It was getting this trade out of my mind for 4 hours. And when I came off the course, I had a new opinion. So, you know what? Did I see that coming? No. I mean, I don't think any of us saw any of this coming. I never saw the offer sheet coming. I never saw the Oilers getting themselves in a position where they were sort of in control of their decision. I stand by the fact that, you know, for them to get all that work done in the week or in 5 or 6 days was unbelievable GMing. And then in the end, after trading Cody Ceci, they decide not to pick up retain on either guy. So I think that surprised all of us. I can't imagine, you know, Stan Bowman doing a better job than he did. And now that it's over, he still lost 2 good young players and has a lot of building to do for his hockey team. So what a weird week that was, wasn't it?
No, it was unbelievable. I got a chance to do an interview out of market as well, and it was like almost a timeline where you think it could be CC being traded, then maybe not. Then you got Broberg who could be kept, and then it's Holloway. And the way it all worked out, I thought there's a chance they both are retained, and then none of them are. So yeah, it was a pretty crazy week. And now on the back end, if you go back to the team that we saw in the playoffs, 3 of the 7 defensemen now gone, with Philip Broberg, Cody Ceci, and Vinny Desharnais all playing with other teams right now. So let's talk about the back end here for the Edmonton Oilers. And yesterday we did talk about the right side with Bouchard and Ekholm, the top pairing. But then there's a few more questions. You're going to have Darnell Nurse on the second pairing. Who's going to be his partner? What can we expect of Ty Emberson? Are they going to make a move? I guess, Spec, what are your thoughts right now on the defensive group as a whole?
Well, there's certainly they're lacking. And before the playoffs start next year, they probably need 2 guys. To me, the question is, do you need one of them before the season starts? You know, or can you say, I mean, I think we all forget a little bit that Troy Stetcher's played like over 500 games in the league, right? You know, he's played on a few teams. He's played a regular role for a long time. He's a veteran NHL defenseman. So I feel like we've kind of forget that listen, I'm not telling you Troy Stetcher's, you're going to build a Stanley Cup winning defense around him. But I feel like you can get some mileage out of that player that the Oilers haven't got yet. When he played last year, I liked his game, and then out of the lineup he'd come. So, you know, I think that's something to remember. Ty Emberson, listen, I don't know anything about him. I got to watch him play. I'm not going to give you an opinion on a guy that played 30 games for the San Jose Sharks, other than to say he went -4 in those 30 games on a team that was their goal differential was -150 last year. So, you know, he had to do something right. I think that makes him worth looking at. Obviously, Chris Knobloch liked him from the days in Hartford. So to me, that's the question, guys. The question isn't, are they going to need to add to that defense core? You're damn right they are. The question is, do they feel like they need to add to it before the season starts?
Spec, looking at Darnell Nurse, I mean, we've had a lot of people text in over the last couple of days here saying, hey, going to need this guy to bounce back, play to the capabilities. When you look at him going into this upcoming season, like what is the ceiling for a guy like Darnell Nurse? Because tough for me to say he's going to clean up all these warts in his, or the warts that he does have. I shouldn't say all of them, but sometimes there's kind of lapses in his own end. Can we expect him to find a little bit more consistency throughout the entirety of the season?
Yeah, I think he can play better, and I think it's time for him to say, you know, we should be talking about Darnell Nurse like, well, at least there's a rock on the second pair. Now they just got to find a guy to play with them, right? He should be the guy that settles that pair down. He should be the guy that makes you confident of that pair jumping over the boards. I would think he should be a guy that you can put a more offensive defenseman with, maybe a guy like Stetcher, and say, don't worry, Nurse is going to lock it down defensively, and he'll give the puck to that other guy when need be, and the Stetcher can take it north. So yeah, it's fair to expect more from Darnell Nurse, you guys. He makes 9.25. He's a leader on this team. He wears a letter, and he gets a bad rap because he plays the toughest minutes and kills the penalties and does all that. But he's not. He needs to come within the same area code of living up to that salary. I don't think he's ever going to live up to it completely. But he can be better. He needs to be better, and it needs to start at the start of this season. He needs to take a step here.
Mark Spector joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show, covers the Oilers with Rogers Sportsnet. We asked Struddy when he was on earlier, just maybe the type of player that you look to add when it comes to the back end, because we've had a lot of names thrown our way. Ivan Provorov, we've seen the Cam Fowlers, we saw Matt Dumba come in here, obviously Ty Ratty, and we've seen Justin Schultz. So I don't know if I'll ask you about a specific name, but what type of defenseman do you think the Oilers need to add on that back end? Is it a steady shutdown guy, puck mover? What do you think they could look to add?
I'd like let's focus this down and say that the guy you're adding is going to play with Darnell Nurse, right? He's going to be a right shot defenseman, not a lefty playing the right side. I want a right shot defenseman. And I think I'm fairly happy with what I like is a guy that relieved Darnell Nurse of the feeling that he has to join the play, a guy that does that, a guy that, sort of the Bouchard to Ekholm, That's what I think you need for Nurse. I want a guy that leaves Nurse on his side of center. I want a guy that Nurse can outlet to and watch him go. I think the right partner for Darnell Nurse turns Darnell Nurse into a more defensive-minded guy. He's, he can be the sort of the Seabrook side of this thing. They need I'm not saying you're finding Duncan Keith, but that style of player. So that's what I would like to see. I don't see, listen, the Nurse CC, the analytics on that pairing was never any good. And CC is definitely a defensive guy. So I think that you need a guy that turns Nurse into the more defensive player and alleviates him of feeling like he's got to earn that $9 million by taking the puck in the other zone and making points happen.
Spec, what did you make of the Matty Beniers contract? $7.14 million over 7 years. Obviously, Seattle taking care of their talent, homegrown. Pretty big contract, maybe hoping for a better bounce back season after what we saw last year, though.
Yeah, he's one of their best players. And 7.1 with the cap going up for the next 7 years. I don't think it's that bad. I mean, how many points did he get last year? I don't even know at this point.
Oh, I'll just confirm here for you as my laptop slows down. But it was a lower number. I want to say like 30 something.
Yeah, so that's a lot for $7 million. But I think they're showing faith in him. I think they're making a bet on this guy that after a couple of years of this contract, in a way, the way the Oilers did when they signed Leon Draisaitl at 8.5, we all said, oh man, that sure is high. And pretty soon it was a hell of a contract. So in the Kraken's wildest dreams, that's what's going to happen in Seattle. And I like Matty Beniers a lot as a player. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that there isn't a chance that he could be underpaid during the last back half of this contract. What do you guys think?
I'm with you. It was 37 points last year, but the year before when he won the Calder, 57 points in 80 games. I like him. I think that's a good one. And I think that is a contract that, like you said, with the cap going up as the next few years go on here, I think that's going to be one of the better value deals in the NHL. So I think that's a good on the Kraken. 7 years. Gives him a good chance. He'll be 28 when he's a free agent, can negotiate at 27. So I don't know. I like it.
I think the Kraken also need to keep star players, right? They're trying to establish themselves in Seattle and keeping people who aren't necessarily the best players on the team, but maybe developing some fan traction. You want to make commitments to them?
Oh, for sure, man. And listen, Seattle's a crowded market. Like, the Mariners are pretty good. Obviously the Seahawks own that market. They're still trying to get an NBA team in there. The soccer is huge there. They draw really, really well. So the Kraken have to break in. Their TV numbers after their first rookie season haven't been as good as they thought they'd be. And they need to do a few of the things like you're talking about, Wanye. They gotta build a base in that town because, they're at that point where they're one of those American towns. They're a team in a crowded American market that if they start losing, they're not going to draw. They need to win to draw down there.
Spec, as you were describing your ideal defenseman for the Oilers, we had a few people texting in saying that's Tyson Barrie. It's got to be Barrie. So maybe he's in the reunion plans, ready for Edmonton. Spec, thanks for doing this today. We'll chat again tomorrow.
All right, boys.
See you, Spec.
That is the Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. They are hiring. Go to Indeed.com and look up GS Construction. We got a bunch of texts coming in here. Yeah, people saying Tyson Barrie. Bring him back. Good dude. I'd love it if we could get him on the show again. Good guy.
Good dude isn't going to plug the hole on D.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah. I'm on fire over here.
Corey's got a question here about fantasy help. We'll get to that in a minute because coming up next, we're going to talk some NFL football. We'll head out to the Motor City. We'll talk to Dan Miller, the voice of the Detroit Lions, coming up next here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, Wanya Gretz, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson with you here live on Sports 1440, watching on the Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook page, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
The Junior Prospects Hockey League is entering its third season of gameplay. The JPHL now offers academic and athletic opportunities in the 14U, 15, 17, and 18U age divisions. All JPHL games are broadcast live on Silent Ice TV with a showcase-style game schedule and high level of travel and accommodations for its team, staff, and players. To learn more about why the JPHL is the fastest-growing elite hockey academy stream in Western Canada, visit juniorprospectshockeyleague.com.
Get a great night's sleep during the final weekend of the Brick Summer Sleep Event. Take up to 50% off mattresses and up to $1,200 off sleeper sectionals. And buy more, save more. Up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Plus, shop amazing deals in other departments, like up to 20% off outdoor furniture and 25% off home entertainment furniture and fireplaces. You won't want to sleep through these fantastic prices. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Imagine hitting 13 out of 14 fairways from the tee. It can happen. It does happen with a driver created for you by Fitted Golf. We are the only company in Edmonton who fits for all 9 features of each golf club. Amateurs learn to play like amateurs from amateurs. Come work with our professional team of scientists, engineers, and club builders and get fitted with the clubs designed for one golfer. You visit fittedgolf.ca today. Fitted Golf, where we continue to prove it's your clubs.
Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV. Anything that's exposed to the elements or has moving parts needs regular maintenance. And when you consider an RV, well, it falls into both categories. Lots of moving parts and sitting out all the time, which is why we hire the best RV technicians in Alberta to come work here at our new, bigger store in Leduc.
Noble has giant indoor service space that can hold the biggest RVs in the world.
That's right, Bob. The vast majority of our indoor space at Noble is dedicated to service and repair. You spend the summer in the great outdoors, and we spend the winter doing scheduled maintenance, so you're ready to go next season.
Sounds like a year-round thing, Rick.
That's it exactly, Bob. Our techs are the most highly experienced men and women in the business. We're solving problems and creating solutions every day. Whatever your used RV needs, our service team has seen it before and knows exactly what to do.
And that's Noble. NobleRV.ca.
Facebook page, Connor Halley, Wanya Gretz with you here. We got Declan Kruger on the board and Donovan Paulson keeping us going on the streams. Right now, we're going to talk some NFL football. Big guest of the day brought to you by the Female Super League, otherwise known as the FSL, designed to elevate female youth hockey. The FSL will provide a platform for U12 and U14 players to develop and improve their skills. Learn more at femalesuperleague.com. We're going to be joined by the voice of the Detroit Lions here, because one of the most intriguing teams, I think, this season in a competitive division. It's going to be fun to see. Dan Miller joins us. Dan, good afternoon, good evening. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Doing really good. We're glad to have you on the show to talk about the Lions. I think first thing we have to ask is a lot of people get towards their fantasy draft. Jahmyr Gibbs, do you have an update? Because I thought I heard some good news today.
Yeah, they're expecting him to return to practice next week. So I think their belief now is, barring a setback, he will be good to go for the season opener against the Rams. So I think you'll be able to follow it next week and see whether or not, in fact, he can get back to practice and how he reacts. But I think they feel good about where he's at. Don't think it was anything too major, and I think he'll be ready to go.
Now, Ben Johnson sticking around with the team. We know there is some interest there for the OC as a potential head coach in the NFL, but with what the Detroit Lions are doing, can't blame him for staying. The offense that they're starting to build up with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, with a chance to be a really great deep threat. The tight end position has been really good. Sam Laporta, I mean, when you're able to move on from TJ Hawkinson to bring in Laporta, that's pretty good. And you got Jared Goff, who's just been absolutely fantastic. David Montgomery there to back up Jahmyr Gibbs. What can we expect from this offense in the 2024 season?
Well, I think a lot of the same as what you saw last year is what their goal is. They've maintained for the most part that offensive line, bringing in Zeitler this year, and he'll assume one of the guard spots. He was a Pro Bowler last year in Baltimore, and that's really the centerpiece of the team, is that offensive line. So, look, I think you're going to see a lot of Montgomery. You're going to see a lot of Jahmyr Gibbs and Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think if there's a question, it is that second receiver spot, and if Jameson Williams can ascend to that and become more of a all-around threat than he was last season when he was more of a deep threat and a gadget guy. I think that's one of the things they're really banking on this year is, you lose Josh Reynolds and the number of reps that he had and targets that he had, and you bring in J-Mo to a more significant role than he's had in the past. And you hope that he can handle that. But I think it is one thing to watch, but they have a ton of weapons offensively that you alluded to, and I think they're very confident about that side of the ball.
You mentioned the offensive line there. Would you say this is top to bottom the best unit in the National Football League?
Yeah, I mean, you can look at some rankings that'll certainly say they're the best in the league. I know that there are others that get recognition as well, but I think for what they've done over the past couple of years, they've really brought the running game back to Detroit for the first time since Barry Sanders was there. The way they've protected Jared Goff, this team, and it's not by accident, they put a lot of assets into that. You got 3 first-round draft picks up there. So they feel really good about it, and it is something that when you look at the contracts they've given Sue, Decker, and Ragnow, it's really something they intend to keep together for as long as they can.
We're joined by Dan Miller, voice of the Detroit Lions, here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, Wanya Gretz in for the vacationing Jason Gregor. And just looking at the head coach position with Dan Campbell, like he burst onto the scene. The press conference went viral. It was fun. I think everybody really enjoys hearing Dan Campbell speak. Just what have you seen from him in his growth as a head coach in the last few seasons?
Well, I think, look, he came in as a player's coach, and from the day he walked in, these players loved him. They wanted to play for him. But I think the most significant thing that he's done is assembled a coaching staff that is able to develop players. Because you can draft all the players you want, but they don't come in knowing how to play in the NFL for the most part. You need to teach them, and you need to teach them what your system is and how you want to do things. And the biggest thing that's changed in Detroit under Dan Campbell and under Brad Holmes is they've selected the players, and then they've maximized the players' abilities. For a long time, we didn't even see guys get a lot of second contracts here because they would just flame out because they would come, they wouldn't get any better, and off they'd go. So, look, I think he is a wonderful tone setter, does a great job of having his team ready every week. They have not lost 2 games in a row since October of 2022. So I think that certainly that's one of his strengths. But, in this league, you have to make your players better. And I think that's really any sport. I don't care if you're talking about hockey, baseball, basketball, whatever it is. Coaching staffs that develop talent and get a pipeline going, get depth going, those are the organizations that are going to be most successful.
Dan, just looking at this team last season, I mean, it was a heck of a run. You win 2 playoff games, tough loss to the Niners, a game that could have gone either way, really. Is the feeling inside the building Super Bowl or bust, or is that an unfair expectation for this team?
I mean, I think that's certainly the goal. I don't know what the bust part is. I know what you're saying, and I just don't even know how to quantify that. But look, there is no doubt that their goal is to win a Super Bowl. There is no doubt that their goal, they stated it in the locker room in San Francisco after they lost to the 49ers. They want to come back and finish the job that they started. You don't know what kind of twists and turns the season's going to take, what kind of injuries are going to present themselves. And look, I mean, the daunting thing is you got to start all over. Everything you did last year is now gone. You got to go out there and win those same type of close games and find a way to be as consistent as you were last year. But look, they're good, and they should be on paper, in our own paper, better than they were a year ago. But now you got to go out and do it. You don't start up 7-0 against the Rams in the first game of the season because of what you did last year. You got to go out and earn it all again. But I think this team has showed time and time again that they are excellent when it comes to preparation and being ready to go in games. And more often than not, they're right there at the end and finding a way to make a play. So, look, it's a different way of approaching the season here in Detroit than we have in the past. You're trying to sustain success and build on success versus years in the past where you were trying to just find some way to become relevant. So it's going to be fun to watch, but again, I got a lot of faith in the head coach who does a wonderful job of just getting his team ready to go.
Yeah, the Stanley Cup or bust was used in Edmonton last offseason, and I wonder if those words might have been regretted because it was a heck of a season, but they didn't win, so it was bust. And for the Detroit Lions, I just wonder. I mean, that team is so good, and as far as they went last year, it had to leave a bit of a bittersweet taste in their mouth for having the success, but not quite getting there.
And I would say I'm not saying you're wrong. I mean, I think that's their goal. And if they come up short of that goal, they're going to be upset. Now, what does bust mean? I don't even know. I mean, it's one of those things that we say, but look, if they go lose in the first round of the playoffs to the Rams or something like that, I'm sure it's going to be a lousy feeling, but make no mistake about it. There's no hiding from the fact that their goal is to win the Super Bowl. That is what they want to do. That is, from the moment they came up short against San Francisco, that's what they want to do. And, you can probably speak to, how the Oilers handled it or coming up short and what ultimately that means. But they're not hiding from where they believe they should be at the end of the season.
Dan Miller joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show, the voice of the Detroit Lions, looking at that team right now. And Dan, just looking at the defensive side of the football, I know Aiden Hutchinson's going to get a lot of credit here, and deservedly so. The guy's an absolute beast. But Jack Campbell, the linebacker spot's very good. They draft Terrion Arnold, they bring Brian Branch as well, then bring over Carlton Davis from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A really good defense on paper. What do you think is the key to their success?
Well, I think they've rebuilt the secondary, as you mentioned, with Carlton Davis, with Terrion Arnold, with Ennis Rakestraw, with Amik Robertson. So they've got a new look out there. They're better on paper than they were a year ago. They had terrible health a year ago at the cornerback position. And so I think it really, to me, given health at those positions, it comes down to finding some help for Aiden up front on that defensive line when it comes time to pressure a passer. There's too many times last year, in particular in the last quarter of the season into the playoffs, you had receivers that were just blowing up for massive yards against them. And it's a tough way to survive, and it's a tough way to win. They found a way to do it, but it's not easy. And optimally, you don't do it that way. So they need to find a way to make quarterbacks uncomfortable and get them to make some mistakes with the football and give those guys in the secondary an opportunity to make some plays on the ball. And I think that's really important. And seeing somebody that can step forward and be the defensive end on the other side of Aiden Hutchinson or help out Aleem McNeil in the middle and get after some quarterbacks. I think that's going to be really something you can look at throughout the season that might indicate just how far that defense can move up from, really good against the run last year and really bad against the pass.
Dan, what do you think of the competition within the division? The Minnesota Vikings, we know J.J. McCarthy goes down with the injury. Sam Darnold will get the start, but the Green Bay Packers, a solid roster. The Chicago Bears, much improved. How tough do you think it's going to be for the the Lions to win the division this year?
I think this division is going to be a beast. I think the Packers are really good. They went to Dallas and blew out the Cowboys in the playoffs last year. They got a young quarterback who still has a lot to prove, but he looks pretty darn good. They got a number of good wide receivers. They bring in Jacobs at running back. Their defense is solid. Chicago, again, young quarterback with a lot to prove. He's going to make his first NFL start in the first week of the season. But, bringing in Keenan Allen, they already had DJ Moore, and then having Rome Odunze and signing DeAndre Swift and Cole Kmet tight end, they're stacked. And look, Minnesota might be a little bit down in the McCarthy thing. It's obviously a brutal, twist for them. But anytime you got to go in and play against Justin Jefferson and you got to play against Addison and, Hawkinson when he comes back and they sign Aaron Jones away from Green Bay, that team's a headache, man. They almost beat the Lions twice last season with backup quarterbacks. So I think this division was better than people thought it was going to be last year, and I think it'll be outstanding this year.
Well, I can't wait for it all to get going. Dan, thanks so much for doing this today. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
There you go. Dan Miller, the voice of the Detroit Lions. I mean, if there's a fan base you're rooting for and you're maybe not a rival, it's got to be the Detroit Lions. They've been so bad for so long, and now they've built a really good team.
And to have the coach be the spark that lit the fire that made them good at long last, and the fact that he called it in his initial press conference, that's great.
When he was drafted, there was a tweet at the time that said something along the lines of like, we have so many talented NFL minds, and this guy gets a head coaching job. It's out there somewhere. We can probably dig it up.
A wrong tweet, Connor? Surely you jest.
I mean, like cold takes exposed. George Springer, home run. Sorry, Declan. Noted Reds fan. Jays lead 4-1 now in the bottom of the second inning. Springer dinger. I love the new graphics they have at Jays games going on in Sportsnet and the TV's been.
Aww.
Sorry, Declan. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll wrap up this show. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440. Connor Halley, Wanya Gretz, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson with you here, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
In 1973, deep in the basement of an Edmonton family home, an elite team of specialized forces came together to form Action Electrical.
Action Electrical Divisions, assemble.
Projects team reporting.
Service team reporting.
Testing team reporting.
Energy team reporting.
Supercharged with skills in their electrical fields and grounded by strong family values. Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to call Legacy. Call Legacy. For comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. For comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Move Water is your one-stop shop for all things water. From freshwater to wastewater, we've got the pumps and solutions to keep your water moving where it matters most.
Move Water, your water solution experts.
Visit movewater.ca today.
Get a great night's sleep during the final weekend of the Brick Summer Sleep Event. Take up to 50% off mattresses and up to $1,200 off sleeper sectionals. And buy more, save more. Up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Plus, shop amazing deals in other departments, like up to 20% off outdoor furniture and 25% off home entertainment furniture and fireplace. You won't want to sleep through these fantastic prices. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Imagine hitting 13 out of 14 fairways from the tee. It can happen. It does happen with a driver created for you by Fitted Golf. We are the only company in Edmonton who fits for all 9 features of each golf club. Amateurs learn to play like amateurs from amateurs. Come work with our professional team of scientists, engineers, and club builders and get fitted with the clubs designed for one golfer. You visit fittedgolf.ca today. Fitted Golf, where we continue to prove it's your clubs.
Bacon or sausage and egg McMuffin? It's a delicious dilemma. But what if you didn't have to choose? The Mighty McMuffin is back with bacon and sausage. Mighty McMuffin, mighty impressive. For a limited time at participating McDonald's in Canada.
Employee pricing is on now at Chevrolet. Right now, get up to $10,500 off select Silverado 1500 High Country Crew Cab models. With an available 6.2-liter V8 engine and standard Chevrolet safety assist, including forward collision alert, getting out of the city and having a nice, quiet day on the beach is easier than ever this season. So relaxing. Ask your Chevrolet advisor for details.
PlayOverBet.ca. Go get your Lotto Max ticket tonight, Wanye. You could cash in, and then you could buy any sports team you want.
Cool. You know what's interesting about playing crisscross there, Declan? Super producer Jermaine Dupree was once walking through the mall in Atlanta, and Jermaine Dupree was 17 years old, and he saw two kids in the food court that were so cool, he made them into crisscross. And we're at a mall right now, Declan.
Is that actually their origin story?
Yeah.
Wow.
And we're in a mall right now.
Were they like performing at all, or
they were just swagged out little kids that had like their hair? I think they were wearing their clothes backwards even already. But we're at a mall, and there's a food court within eye shot. Maybe the next crisscross is in the mall, and we need to go looking.
If you want to go talent scout after this, I'm down. I'll do it with you.
You know I'm always down for talent scouting.
Jermaine Dupree, welcome to Atlanta. Great song.
Great song.
Gregor Show, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Coming to you live from the EWell Studios in West Edmonton Mall. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson. Our final segment before we hand things over to the fine folks at Turn Sports. If you missed our show today, go check it out up at wherever you get your podcast from. Google, Spotify. You can watch it on YouTube. You can also go to jasongregor.com for the individual interviews. We had Yaremchuk on earlier today, Dave McCarthy of Sirius XM. We had Waz and Liam Pierce talking some English Premier League soccer spec. Of course, Struddy and Dan Miller, voice of the Lions. We had a text come in here to 1-833-401-1440. Don't Oilers think that another team will offer Draisaitl and Bouchard offer sheets? I guarantee you teams will line up to offer those two. Just give them what they want now. Leon Draisaitl cannot be offer sheeted.
He can't be?
That is a Group 2 restricted free agent.
Stop playing around with these questions.
And Evan Bouchard, yes, it won't happen. It will not happen. I don't know if my dad's listening to the show right now, but he just sent me a text. If you're looking for someone to split the lotto ticket with, I've got $10. So
there you go.
Me and my dad might have to split a lottery ticket.
Must be hard being your dad, Connor, just being so proud all day long, hey?
Yeah.
Just proud morning, noon, and night.
I don't think that's the case. Rowdy Roddy invited me to come out with him sometime and see why they call him Rowdy. Coming to Edmonton this weekend.
That's
Where
better
are you
than
going?
better than telling you to show you why they call him Roddy.
Roddy. Well, I assume his name's Rod.
Could be.
I thought Rowdy Roddy was just because of the wrestler. No?
Big Show? Come on, Connor. I don't know wrestling.
Rowdy Roddy Piper.
No, I know who that is.
Yeah. Legend. R.I.P. 1-833-401-1440. That is the text line. Lots of decks coming in just regarding who the Edmonton Oilers might look to add at the deadline. Hey, I said it. Give me some names and we'll talk about it. Brad said, I wonder if you could grab John Carlson away from Washington at the deadline. Maybe a few years past the prime John Carlson, but probably has a few good games left in him. If you can get Jared Spurgeon on the roster, $5 million, 3 years, would he be a good ad? Nick M, bringing in the local guy.
He's a local boy.
I think a lot of people would like him at one point. He missed a lot of time last year with injury, I believe. So, but yeah, good player. If he was someone you could add, like get some salary retained, that wouldn't be so bad. Dylan texting in, hey boys, to add to Wanye's crisscross story, did you know that the record label actually stole the sample from the producers of Jump Around by House of Pain? If you listen till the end of this song, you can hear them call him out. Songs both came out around the same time.
That's a great factoid.
Interesting. Yeah, well, we'll maybe have to... We can't let it play out for copyright reasons, but maybe we'll give it a listen later, out in the bar.
Wow.
House of Pain.
Great track.
In terms of one-hit wonders, I mean, that one-hit wonders, like some songs, like, you know, they peak and then they go away. You don't often hear Savage Garden. I know they had a couple hits, or Chumbawamba. But like Jump Around, timeless. That's got to be one of the best one-hit wonder songs of all time.
House of Pain has other hits.
Do they?
Shamrocks and Shenanigans. That's a fine track.
If it's not in our system, it's not a hit.
When I was in junior high, I took the House of Pain CD to the barber and I said, can you shave this logo into the back of my head? And he said, no. And that was the end of it.
Was it a Shamrock?
Yeah. Just like this. And he's like, nope. It was hard growing up in the 90s, Connor.
It was. Tyler says, yeah. And Whitey Ford from House of Pain is Everlast. Multiple grade CDs.
That's crazy.
That I did know, actually.
Whitey Ford Sings the Blues, I believe, was his album. Unbelievable. And I believe, I could be wrong, the DJ from House of Pain was later the DJ for Limp Bizkit.
DJ Lethal?
That's the one.
Was he actually?
I believe so. Don't play around with this stuff, Connor. I might not know a single player in the NFL, but if you want to talk about how Jermaine Dupree discovered Chris
he was.
There you go.
When Fred Durst yells DJ Lethal, bring it on, that just gets you amped up.
Do you remember that song Steal My Sunshine by Len?
Absolutely.
That guy in Len discovered Sum 41. What you know about that?
Canadian connection.
Now will blow your mind because this is technically Wanye's world time. Do
Yeah.
you remember Chris Shepard, Pirate Radio?
DJ Chris Shepard had like kind of weird hair, big sunglasses.
Yeah, one of the first big celebrity DJs.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know why he got a record deal when no DJs got record deals?
No.
I believe his uncle is Don Cherry. And the Rock'em Sock'ems were distributed by a record label, and he pulled strings to get Chris Shepard an introduction. And Chris Shepard really popularized being a DJ and making your own music. So we owe it all to Grapes.
He should have put his music in Rock'em Sock'em.
Couldn't get clearance from the record label, ironically.
That one song with Don Cherry rapping. Do you remember that one?
Do I remember that? I could probably rap half of it.
Did he
for
just
you.
say, let's go? Didn't he yell it a few times in the background?
Don Cherry was so ahead of the game to make those, like he's making mixtapes like a rapper out here in these streets, and he's rapping in his own mixtapes. Unbelievable.
Chris Shepard, did he work with Love Inc?
Yeah.
Broken Bones.
Unbelievable.
Great song. Holds up, actually.
All because of Rock'em Sock'em.
That's random, but that's why we do Wanye's World.
That's it, baby.
The things you can learn here.
We can all learn.
Braden texting in. Thank you for the sports text. Colton Parayko at the deadline with the Blues when they're in last place. Ooh. Shots fired.
You got to be careful at the deadline picking up your players because you overpay so much every year. And the idea is like, well, empty the cupboard. The playoffs are here. Now's the time to be lining up these moves.
Vladdy just a little single action there. Vladdy absolutely on fire. Now 1 for 2 tonight. Jays lead 4-1 over the Reds. Declan's going to get you an update in a couple minutes here to let you know everything that's going on. He might skip that one as he is a noted Reds fan. But yeah, the Don Cherry, like, Rock'em Sock'em. I mean, every Christmas we got those, right? Like, that wasn't just me. Every Christmas in the stocking or a standalone gift was the Rock'em Sock'em.
Have you watched any on YouTube in the present day?
I know. Well, sometimes I go back and watch the one with the song.
They get me fired up to this day. Like, Rock'em Sock'ems are so good.
Because it wasn't just big hits. They mixed in the good goals and stuff, too.
As the purveyor, former owner of hockeyfights.com, I can tell you, those Rock'em Sock'ems are awesome, man.
Rodrigo, this might be the last text of the day. Is Wanye your real name?
Yeah, my real name is Wanye. Of course it is. No, I picked Wayne and Kanye, like the rapper, mushed together back when the internet was starting in 2007 because I needed a name. Little did I realize I would stick with it.
Why Gretz?
Well, I don't know. It just sounded like West. You know what I'm saying?
My good friend Mark Majot used to call me Kanye.
There you go.
Because it worked.
Yeah.
You stole my name.
You
That's
stole my
intellectual
name.
property.
Certainly not. Now it's nothing to be proud of.
Let's take a break. And then we'll come back in 22 hours. 22-hour break, in fact. Big thing, everyone who tuned in today. We appreciate it. If you missed anything, check the podcast. Apple, Google, Spotify, jasongregor.com, wherever you get them from. Thank you. Give them a subscription, a download, auto-download. We do appreciate it. That's going to do it for us here on the show. Coming up next, another edition of Turn Sports. They'll go from 6 to 9. Then we got Fox Sports Radio all night. Kevin Carey is back tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. It is 24/7 Sports Talk. It's live here on Sports 1440 right now. A Sports 1440 update brought to you by Rhoda Exclusive, an exclusive membership with luxury assets such as magnificent holiday properties, a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, boats, and more. Travel, drive, and relax in style. Now, RhodaExclusive.com. Limited openings.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, the Edmonton Oilers have elected not to match the offer sheets from the St. Louis Blues on defenseman Philip Broberg and forward Dylan Holloway. Edmonton will be receiving a second-round pick back for Broberg and a third-round pick back for Holiday as compensation. The Edmonton Oilers have acquired defenseman Paul Fisher and a third-rounder in 2028 from the Blues for future considerations after not matching the offer sheets, and the Seattle Kraken have signed Matty Beniers on a 7-year deal with a $7.14 million AAV. CFL News, Chad Kelly will be the starting quarterback for the Toronto Argonauts when they host the Saskatchewan Roughriders in a Week 12 clash on Thursday. MLB scores around the league. The Diamondbacks leading the Marlins 2-1 at the end of the fifth. Rockies up 1-0 on the Nationals. Top of the sixth. Guardians trailing the Yankees 2-1 in the top of the third. Blue Jays up huge on the Reds 6-1 in the bottom of the third. Orioles up 3-0 on the Mets. Top of the third in that one. And 2 games locked at 0-0. The Phillies and the Braves and the Brewers and the Cardinals. Getting going in about 10 minutes time here, we will see the Tigers and the Cubs and the Pirates and the Rangers. A little later on, we'll see the Angels and Royals, Red Sox and Astros, Twins and Padres, Rays and Athletics, White Sox and Giants, and the Mariners and Dodgers. 3 games in the WNBA right now. All 3 games at halftime. The most notable result of the 3 seeds, the Seattle Storm leading the Washington Mystics 44-30. That's going to do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Turn Sports is up next. Fox Sports Radio at 9. Kevin Carius, Brandon Douglas back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. I'm Declan Kruger, and this has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440.
A Stingray.